Chapter 39-37. The elder from the angel race had a gloomy look on his face. He stared at Ling Huashua and said, "Elf Emperor, are you going to make an enemy out of the angel race?" "How would I dare to make an enemy out of the angel race? However, Mu Yun is not only my son-in-law, but he has also contributed greatly to the elf race. With me here today, no one can kill him. Also, why does the angel race want to kill him? What's your reason for doing so?" Ling Huashua said. The elder from the angel race didn't know how to answer for a moment. He couldn't possibly say that Mu Yun was Gabert's rival in love, so he wanted to kill him. Wouldn't that be embarrassing? "Elf Emperor, are you sure you want to intervene?" the elder from the angel race asked. "That's right." The elf emperor nodded. He was very decisive and strong. Lu Ming had obtained the seed of the holy tree, which was a great contribution to the elf race. He absolutely couldn't let Lu Ming be killed by the angel race, especially here today. "Good, very good, very good. The elf race is getting bolder and bolder." The elder from the angel race nodded repeatedly. The cold light in his eyes was about to overflow. However, there was nothing he could do. Although they had two experts, it was useless. After all, the elf race was the emperor of the elf race, an overlord in the universe. His strength was unfathomable, far beyond what they could compare to. Even in the entire angel race, there weren't many who could be a match for the elf emperor. If the elf emperor wanted to protect Lu Ming, the few of them wouldn't be able to kill Lu Ming at all. Ling Huashua didn't continue to speak, but his gaze was very firm, indicating his position. "How about this?" At this time, another elder from the angel race transmitted his voice to the previous elder from the angel race. Then, he transmitted his voice to the two young angels. The two young angels nodded. Cold, killing intent flashed in their eyes. One of them stepped out and said to Lu Ming from afar, "Mu Yun, I heard that you are extremely talented and powerful. You and I belong to the younger generation. I wonder if you dare to fight with me?" He wanted to challenge Lu Ming. Ling Huashua frowned slightly. The other party was also a member of the younger generation, and he was challenging Lu Ming. This was a duel between the younger generation, and he had no reason to interfere. Otherwise, if word got out, it would be said that he had innocently interfered in the struggle of the younger generation and was bullying the weak. It would be easy for the angels to have a reason to blame the elves. Clearly, it was not convenient for the elder to make a move, so they sent the younger ones. They wanted to use the younger generation of geniuses to deal with Lu Ming. "What? I'm just a subordinate of young Master Gabert. If you don't even dare to accept the challenge, young Master Gabert can suppress you with just one finger." The young angel stepped forward, pressing towards Lu Ming. His powerful aura pressed down on Lu Ming. That person had the strength of the first godly emperor layer. The elves all looked at Lu Ming, wondering if Lu Ming would dare to accept the challenge. Furthermore, many people were dissatisfied with the elf emperor. They believed that the elf emperor shouldn't offend the angel clan because of Lu Ming. Even if Lu Ming was Ling Yue's fiancé, he shouldn't have offended the angel clan because of this. Offending the angel clan was no small matter. It would greatly affect the future development of the elves. The elves had just obtained the seed of the holy tree, so they shouldn't offend the angel clan. They should befriend the angel clan to give the elves some time to develop. Moreover, a mere Mu Yun had done nothing to the elves. What ability did he have to make the elf emperor offend the angel clan for him? Many people thought that the elf emperor was wrong, but they didn't dare to say it out loud. "Do you dare to accept the challenge? If you don't dare, quickly kneel down and admit your mistake. If you cripple your own cultivation, I can spare your dog life." The young angel continued to press towards Lu Ming. His gaze was oppressive, and his white cloak fluttered under the effect of the air waves. "Since you want to fight, then let's fight." Lu Ming's expression was calm as his indifferent voice sounded out. He took a step forward and his aura soared into the sky. The angel clan relied on their strength to bully others. Lu Ming was not a person who was afraid of trouble. If the old one couldn't beat him, could it be that he was afraid of the young one? Since the other party wanted to challenge him, who cared what race he was from? "Very good, Elf Emperor. Did you see that? This is a battle between young people. Mu Yun has already agreed. Now, you have no room to interfere, right? The old man from the angel clan sneered at the elf emperor. The elf emperor remained silent. It was a battle between young people, and Lu Ming had already agreed to the challenge. He was indeed unable to interfere. Jia Song, go and take Mu Yun's head. Go back and see young Master Gabbert. The old man from the angel clan said to the young man from the angel clan. His name was Jia Song. Don't worry. Jia Song's eyes flickered with a sinister killing intent. The aura on his body became even stronger, and his entire body was enveloped by a pure white holy light. Suddenly, snow-white wings extended out from his back. A total of 3 pairs, 6 wings. This was a 6-winged seraph. The wings of the angel clan were an important indicator of their talent. The more wings they had, the higher their talent. Just like the dragon's dragon claws, the more dragon claws they had, the higher their talent. Of course, this was not absolute. For example, the number 1 expert of the dragon clan, the world-destroying black dragon Ao Qian, was a 5-clawed black dragon. He had suppressed countless outstanding prodigies of the dragon clan. However, this was only a rare case. Therefore, a 6-winged seraph was an extremely shocking prodigy among the angel clan. Most of the angels had 2 wings, and the more talented ones had 4. I'll take your head with one move. Jia Song's eyes shone brightly as a cross-shaped holy sword appeared on his body. He grasped it in his hand. This cross-shaped holy sword was his origin's secret technique, and he had severed 4 shackles. As soon as he finished speaking, Jia Song's entire body turned into a pure white sword light that illuminated the sky. He slashed towards Lu Ming, aiming for Lu Ming's neck. Swoosh! After that, Lu Ming also moved. He turned into a gust of wind and flew towards Jia Song. His hand was like a blade as he slashed at Jia Song. With a loud bang, the pure white sword light that Garson had transformed into trembled non-stop. Cracks appeared on it at a speed visible to the naked eye. Then, with a bang, the sword light exploded. Jia Song was pushed back violently as he coughed up blood. His original secret technique, the cross-shaped holy sword, had exploded. Not only that, but there were also cracks on his body. He looked like a broken piece of porcelain. Many people were astonished. This young genius of the angel clan had been defeated just like that. He had been so arrogant a moment before, but now he had been defeated so easily? That's all you've got? The angel clan is mediocre. Lu Ming's faint voice could be heard. In his opinion, Jia Song's strength was mediocre. Even though he had the strength of the first godly emperor layer, he wasn't as strong as Hua Tian from the elf clan. Chapter 39-38. Lu Ming had fought against Hua Tian before. He had the impression that Hua Tian was stronger than Jia Song. Jia Song was probably just an ordinary young genius from the angel clan. That was normal. Even though the angel clan was strong, they were called the top 10 geniuses of the universe. They were strong as a whole, but not all of them could defeat the geniuses of other clans. The geniuses of other clans could still defeat the geniuses of the angel clan. Hua Tian was one of the top geniuses of the angel clan. Jia Song wasn't one of the top geniuses of the angel clan. Jia Song was embarrassed and angry at Lu Ming's contempt. He spat out another mouthful of blood. The 2 old men of the angel clan pulled long faces. "Where you go?" said one of the old men to the other young man telepathically. Lai Mo was the other young man's name. Lai Mo nodded and his silhouette flickered. He appeared in front of Lu Ming. "I'll fight against you." Lai Mo spoke coldly. The rich sacred light seemed to turn the world white. His powerful aura was like the waves of the sea, constantly pressing toward Lu Ming. Second godly emperor layer. Lai Mo had the strength of the second godly emperor layer, 1 layer higher than Jia Song's. Furthermore, a pair of wings extended from Lai Mo's back. He had 4 pairs of wings. He was an 8-winged angel. Without a doubt, he was a terrifying cultivator. His cultivation level was higher than Jia Song's, and he was also more talented than Jia Song. He only has the strength of the second godly emperor layer and he wants to challenge a quasi-emperor? How shameless! Thought many people from the fairy clan. Of course, they didn't dare say it out loud. They didn't want to offend the angel clan. A cross-shaped sacred sword condensed on La Mo's body. He pointed the sacred sword at Lu Ming and said in a cold voice, "Do you dare to fight me?" "Why wouldn't I dare? I hope you won't disappoint me," said Lu Ming calmly. Even though his opponent was strong, he wasn't afraid. When he was on the dragon's mother planet, he was already on the opposite side of the heavenly palace. Furthermore, the relationship between the angels and the heavenly palace was very good. They were backed by the heavenly palace. It could be said that sooner or later he would go against the angels. It was a good opportunity to test the strength of the angels and see how strong they were. 8-winged angels were considered high-level prodigies in the angel tribe. After all, 10-winged angels or 12-winged angels were very rare in the angel tribe. "Hee, what a big tone," La Mo said coldly as he flapped his 8 wings. His body was like a beam of white light as he charged towards Lu Ming. Before many people could react, his sword light had already slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming also made his move. Similarly, his palm was like a saber as he slashed out. Boom! Their attacks collided and an earth-shattering boom erupted. Strong winds blew, and holy light overflowed. The two figures retreated at the same time. This move was evenly matched. La Mo's expression turned even colder. He increased his speed to the maximum and charged toward Lu Ming. Beams of pure white sword gleams completely engulfed Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the Great Godly Wind technique and the Great Shattering technique to increase their strength. His palms kept slashing out. Their attacks kept colliding. In the blink of an eye, they had already exchanged a few dozen attacks. Suddenly, rumbling sounds spread in the air. Someone groaned and retreated. It was La Mo. La Mo was the one who had retreated. There was blood on the corner of his mouth. After a few dozen attacks, he was at a disadvantage. He wasn't a match for Lu Ming. He was struck by Lu Ming's palm and coughed up blood as he was pushed back. It wasn't that La Mo wasn't strong. Actually, La Mo's strength was astonishing. Even though he only had the strength of the 2nd Godly Emperor layer, he could compete with cultivators of the 4th Godly Emperor layer. He could even suppress ordinary cultivators of the 4th Godly Emperor layer. But during that year, Lu Ming had become stronger and stronger. He was infinitely close to breaking through to the Godly Emperor layer. At that moment, he hadn't used his battle formula to increase his fighting strength by 6 times, but he could already suppress La Mo. How strong? Is that Mu Yun's fighting strength? How terrifying! It was the first time for most of the elves to see Lu Ming fight. They were all dumbstruck. He was only a quasi-emperor layer cultivator, but he was already so strong. How astonishing! The faces of the 2 angels were also very serious. Killing intent constantly flashed in their eyes. "It seems like you're not that strong." Lu Ming spoke calmly and stepped out. His palm blade was like a mountain, slashing toward La Mo continuously. "Angel battle body, eternally invincible, die!" shouted La Mo. His long hair fluttered in the wind. His body was filled with holy light. At that moment, it seemed like he had turned into light. He didn't have a body of flesh and blood anymore. At that moment, the angel clan was extremely strong. They were born with an angel battle body. They had incredible fighting strength. Ordinary clans couldn't compete with them. La Mo raised his fighting strength to the maximum and attacked Lu Ming. "Come!" shouted Lu Ming. His chi was like an erupting volcano. He became even stronger. Battle formula, 6 times fighting strength, activated. Boom boom boom. Lu Ming's right hand was like a blade, his left hand was like a fist. He kept attacking La Mo. The 2 of them kept colliding. They exchanged a dozen attacks. However, La Mo still couldn't win. He was completely suppressed by Lu Ming. After a dozen attacks, Lu Ming slashed at La Mo's wing. La Mo coughed up blood and retreated. His face was deathly pale. Bang! Then, Lu Ming threw another punch at La Mo's chest. La Mo screamed miserably. His chest had been penetrated. His heart seemed to have turned into light, like a ball of light that was beating continuously. At this moment, countless light dots were converging towards his heart, constantly repairing it. The angel battle body is really amazing. You can recover quickly after being hit by my forbidden power. Lu Ming couldn't help but exclaim in his heart. After reaching the Divine Emperor realm, especially for existences like La Mo, their vitality was terrifyingly strong. Ordinary attacks could hardly harm them. Only a terrifying force could hurt them. For example, divine power that had been awakened many times or other terrifying powers. Forbidden power was undoubtedly the most terrifying. It was almost impossible to recover after being hit by a forbidden power. However, Lamo was still recovering quickly. This showed how terrifying his physique was. That was the Angel Clan's talent. Even so, Lamo's injuries were very serious. His strength was greatly affected. Lose for me. Lu Ming shouted and attacked Lamo again. You want to defeat me? Dream on. Lamo roared as a silver cross flew out from between his eyebrows. Boom. As soon as the silver cross flew out, it expanded rapidly and emitted a terrifying wave. A ray of holy light flew out of the silver cross and blasted at Lu Ming. Chapter 39:39. Lamo took out a silver cross which was emitting holy light. He sensed danger. That silver cross was a terrifying weapon. Crush it! Lu Ming hollered. 3 gravity pearls flew out from his wrist. Terrifying gravity permeated the air and shrouded the beam of holy light. However, the holy light only trembled slightly before it broke through the gravitational force of the gravity orb. It continued to charge toward Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. Lu Ming had the impression that the holy light was as strong as a cultivator of the 6th godly emperor layer. Even if Lu Ming used his full strength, he couldn't block the attack of a cultivator of the 6th godly emperor layer. He couldn't compete with Lu Ming directly, so he had to use a deadly weapon. But who didn't have a deadly weapon? A moment later, a round pearl appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Zephyr Pearl. With a thought, he circulated the great divine wind skill and a gust of terrifying gale emerged from the gale pearl. Under Lu Ming's control, the gale transformed into a wind blade and flew toward the holy light. With a puff, the holy light was destroyed by the wind blade. You can't defeat me, so you use a powerful weapon. You think you only have powerful weapons? Said Lu Ming disdainfully. He continued absorbing the strength of the Zephyr Pearl. Whoosh, 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 the terrifying gale transformed into a tornado that swept towards Lamo. Lamo's expression changed drastically. He used all of his strength and poured all of his god power into the silver cross. The silver cross emitted a resplendent light and became as large as a mountain. It pressed down on the tornado, wanting to destroy it. However, when the silver cross came into contact with the tornado, the silver cross shook violently and was directly thrown back. Even though the silver cross was powerful, it couldn't compare to the Zephyr Pearl. It couldn't compare to Ling Yuwei's royal elf bow. It couldn't compare to Xiao Wuji's azure sword either. It couldn't compare to Di Jianyi's rusty sword either. In front of Lamo, who had the strength of the 2nd godly emperor layer, he could only use the strength of the 6th godly emperor layer. If Lu Ming did not have the Zephyr Pearl, he would not have been able to block the Silver Cross's attack. However, Lu Ming had the Zephyr Pearl and could easily crush his opponent. The tornado blew away the Silver Cross and continued to sweep towards Lamo. Lamo's expression was extremely ugly. If he was hit by this tornado, he would definitely die. Stop! An elder from the angel race coldly snorted and blasted out a palm. He actually directly interfered with the battle, wanting to kill Lu Ming. However, Ling Huashua's body emitted a divine light that easily blocked the attack of the old angel. This is a duel between young people. As an elder, it's better not to interfere. If word gets out, it will be bad for the reputation of the angel race, Ling Huashua said calmly. It sounded like he was doing this for the sake of the reputation of the angels. The elder from the angel race was furious. But with Ling Huashua around, he couldn't do anything. The tornado formed by the gale was about to hit Lamo. Just then, Lamo took out a jade talisman and shouted, "Young Master Gabbert, help." As soon as Lamo's voice fell, the jade talisman emitted a dense divine light. A terrifying aura spread out from the jade talisman. The next moment, a figure appeared above the jade talisman. It was a handsome young man in a white robe. His hair was also snow white. He stood with his hands behind his back, but he had a domineering aura and a demeanor that could swallow the universe. His eyes were like lightning as he glanced at Lu Ming. Then he used his fingers like a sword and slashed down. A shocking sword light shone, breaking the void and illuminating the starry sky. The next moment, the tornado formed by the gale was split in half by the sword light. Lai Mo was overjoyed that he was saved. "Young Master Gabbert, thank you," Lai Mo said respectfully. Many people were shocked. Gabbert, this was the peerless hero of the angel race. His name shook the universe and he was on the universe prodigy list. He was recognized by all the great races and even the heavenly palace. Gabbert. Yes, he's Gabbert. I've seen his portrait in the dream jade. It's really him. He's actually here. No, it's not a physical body. It seems to be a projection or a clone. Many people saw through the trick. This was not Gabbert's body. It was just a projection or a divine power clone that had been sealed in the jade talisman beforehand. Gabbert? Behind him, Ling Piao and the others were overjoyed. As for Ling Yue, her face darkened and became a little ugly. You may leave. Gabbert's divine power clone glanced at Lai Mo indifferently and instructed. Lai Mo respectfully left. Gabbert looked at Lu Ming, and a terrifying killing intent flashed in his eyes. The next moment, he took a step forward, and a bright divine light rushed out of his body. It turned into a sword of holy light and slashed at Lu Ming. Gabbert was very decisive. Without saying a word, he directly attacked Lu Ming and launched a sure-kill attack. Not far away, Ling Huashua's eyes flashed. He wanted to stop him, but in the end he stopped. Speaking of which, Gabbert was also part of the younger generation, so he had no reason to attack. Moreover, Gabbert's identity and status were not small. Even in the angel race, he was a big shot. He still had some misgivings in his heart. The sword light locked onto Lu Ming and burst out with cold killing intent, about to launch a sure-kill attack. Lu Ming's pupils contracted rapidly. This sword gave him a strong sense of danger. Buzz buzz buzz. The 3 gravity pearls were constantly vibrating. The gravity was pushed to the extreme, enveloping Gabbert's sword light. However, it was useless. Gabbert's sword light did not slow down at all. Gale! Lu Ming shouted and used the Great God Wind technique. He drew out the power inside the Gale Pearl and formed a storm that swept Gabbert's sword light. Rumble! Gabbert's sword light collided with the flaming storm, causing a deafening explosion. However, one could see that Gabbert's sword light slashed down, and the sword chi soared into the sky, constantly breaking through the flaming storm. In the end, the flaming storm was split into 2. The sword light did not stop and continued to slash at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's pupils contracted rapidly. With a thought, Chiu turned into armor and covered his entire body. Moreover, a silver spear condensed in his palm. Swoosh! Lu Ming stabbed out with his spear, piercing the sword light. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion sounded. Lu Ming's body shook violently. He retreated rapidly and spat out a mouthful of blood. However, it was only a minor injury. Lu Ming's cells were constantly surging with power. Lu Ming's injuries were instantly healed. What a terrifying power! Lu Ming's expression was quite solemn. Gabbert's power was beyond his expectations. One had to know that Lu Ming's Great God Wind technique had reached the small success stage. The stronger the Great God Wind technique was, the stronger the power inside the Gale Pearl could be drawn out. Even so, it could not block Gabbert's attack. Chapter 3940. Gilbert's sword light broke through the raging windstorm, but a portion of its power was blocked by the raging windstorm. However, the remaining portion of its power was still shockingly strong. Lu Ming could only borrow Chiu's strength. During that time, Chiu had evolved again. Previously, it had the strength of the 3rd godly emperor layer, but now, it had broken through to the 4th godly emperor layer. This was the result of completely refining the metal planet it had devoured in the Gale Star River. Later on, Chiu would need to continue devouring new metal materials or divine weapons to evolve. Chiu had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer, so it was extremely strong. It could definitely kill cultivators of the 6th godly emperor layer. Even so, with the help of Qiuqiu's power, Lu Ming was still unable to block the sword gleam that only had a portion of its power left. He was still injured. From this, one could tell how terrifying Gabert's ability was. Interesting. When Gabert saw that Lu Ming had blocked his sword, he was surprised. He hadn't thought that Lu Ming would be able to block his sword. An interesting metallic life form, an interesting treasure? But do you think that relying on external strength can stop me? Today I will kill you, said Gabert coldly. He sounded confident and arrogant, as if there was nothing he couldn't do. If he wanted to kill someone, there was nothing he couldn't do. Boom. Gabert's qi became even more terrifying. His qi became even more terrifying. His qi became even more dazzling, illuminating the sky. The sword lights were millions and millions of zhang long. Sword qi tore through the sky and moved towards Lu Ming again. This time, the power was stronger than before. Lu Ming felt that he was locked in by a powerful force. He performed the great God Wind skill and his figure kept flashing. However, it was still difficult to avoid the sword gleam's attack. Facing that attack, it was difficult to dodge. Explode! Lu Ming roared as he used all his strength to draw out the gale bead's power. The gale bead constantly trembled and emitted a blazing light. A blazing gale rushed out of the gale bead and turned into a wall of gale in front of him. As for Lu Ming himself, he erupted with all his strength. His entire body was filled with the resplendent radiance. This was a phenomenon caused by the activation of all his secret techniques. All of the secret techniques turned into a pillar of light and shot forward. At the same time, Lu Ming held the silver spear in his hand and stabbed out. This spear contained the power of the Great God Wind technique and the Great Fragmentation technique. Boom! Gabert's cross-shaped sword beam first slashed at the wall of gale. Just like before, the collision between the two caused a violent explosion. However, the wall of gale was still unable to withstand the attack of the cross-shaped holy sword. A crack appeared on it before it exploded. The remaining sword beam continued to slash at Lu Ming. When it came into contact with the light pillar formed by all of Lu Ming's secret techniques, it broke the light pillar with a boom and collided with the silver spear. In an instant, Lu Ming's body shook violently as if he had been electrocuted. The silver spear also bent into an astonishing arc as if it was about to break. Puff, 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 dense sword qi suddenly appeared on the surface of Lu Ming's body and cut his body. It cut through the armor formed by Qiuqiu and cut Lu Ming's body. Numerous wounds appeared on Lu Ming's body as blood flowed out. Lu Ming retreated tens of thousands of meters before he could stabilize his body. His body was in tatters as if he had been hit by thousands of sword qi in an instant. But in the end, Lu Ming still managed to block this attack. The wounds on his body were rapidly healing. He blocked the second attack again. Many people at the scene were shocked, especially those from the angel race. They were even more incredulous. Lu Ming could actually block two of Gabert's attacks. Although this was only a strand of Gabert's divine power doppelganger and its power was far inferior to Gabert's original body, how high was Lu Ming's cultivation? He was only a quasi-emperor. This was too shocking. Ha ha, the universe prodigy list is just SOSO. Lu Ming wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and smiled disdainfully. Gabert's eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent. Angel King Sword. Gabert shouted softly as he stretched out his hand and pointed in the air. Then, dazzling holy light condensed in the air and turned into snow-white feathers. However, the feathers immediately changed again. They turned into divine swords. The angel feathers turned into swords. There were a total of 18 white divine swords suspended in the air, emitting terrifying fluctuations. Lu Ming's pupils contracted sharply as he felt a fatal danger. He knew that this was a terrifying killing technique that could destroy the world and blow up the tiniest particles. Even though Lu Ming had a forbidden body, it was still very dangerous. I can't block it. The Gale Pearl can't block it. Lu Ming's mind raced as he tried to think of a countermeasure. He could feel that the Gale Pearl's power would most likely not be able to block this attack. After all, his great godly wind technique and his cultivation were limited. The power that he could draw from the Gale Pearl was also limited. It would be difficult to block this attack. Now, he still had two trump cards. They were the immortal fighting soul in the fragment of the life spirit vitality stone, and the Bingxian rod. However, these two weapons were related to the life spirit of the heavenly court. They could not be easily exposed, especially the mysterious ice rod. It was too precious. It was the top weapon in the universe. Once it was exposed, it would cause a huge commotion. Perhaps the masters of the elves or the angels would be greedy and would not let it go. Therefore, Lu Ming was hesitating whether he should use it or not. If he didn't use it, he wouldn't be able to block Gabbert's attack. At this moment, Gabbert seemed to have sensed something and suddenly turned around. Behind her, an arrow pierced through the air and flew towards him. It carried a terrifying power as it continuously exploded in the air. Slash! Gabbert shouted softly. He raised his hand and waved it. One of the feather swords slashed towards the sword light. With a boom, a violent explosion occurred between the two. Then the arrow and the feather sword disappeared at the same time. Ling Yue, Gabbert looked at Ling Yue. The person who attacked just now was Ling Yue. At this moment, Ling Yue was holding the Elf King's bow with blood in her hand and aiming it at Gabbert. "You want to attack me?" Gabbert whispered, his gaze as cold as a knife. "Lu Ming is my fiancé. If you want to kill him, I naturally have to do it," Ling Yue said. As she spoke, she took one step at a time, her aura becoming stronger and stronger. A terrifying pressure was emitted from Ling Yue's body. Behind her, a towering tree appeared, emitting an endless green light. Waves of green light continuously poured into Ling Yue's body, condensing into an arrow on the Elf King's bow that was stained with blood. "Good, very good." Gabbert said a few words of good. His voice and expression were extremely cold. Originally, he had taken a fancy to Ling Yue and wanted to marry her. But now, because of another man, Ling Yue had attacked him. If this were to spread, he would definitely lose all face. This caused his killing intent to be extremely strong. Chapter 3941. Ling Yue, even if you want to help him, I will still kill this Mu Yun in front of you and let you watch him die with your own eyes. Gabbert's cold voice rang out, followed by a loud shout, "Angel King Sword, chop!" Swoosh, 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 the remaining dozen or so feather divine swords began to spin rapidly, their sword chi soaring into the sky. Gale Storm. However, before Gabbert could make his move, Lu Ming had already made his move. The scorching cracks swept towards Gabbert. At the same time, Ling Yue also made her move. An arrow shot out. This arrow was emerald green in color, but it carried a trace of blood light. It was simply terrifying to the extreme, and was several times stronger than the previous arrow. It was obvious that the previous arrow was just a casual arrow from Ling Yue. She did not use her full strength, but this arrow used her full strength. Gabbert's face darkened as he controlled the 17 feather divine swords. 10 of them flew towards Ling Yue and 7 of them slashed towards Lu Ming. Ling Yue's arrow was extremely fast. In an instant, it had approached Gabbert and collided with his feather divine sword. Boom, boom, boom. Continuous rumbling sounds rang out, and an astonishing scene occurred. When Ling Yue's arrow collided with the feather divine sword, it actually pierced through multiple feather divine swords. 1, 2, 3. In less than a breath of time, he had pierced through 7 feather divine swords, causing Gabbert's expression to change drastically. With a wave of his hand, 5 of the 7 feather divine swords that were slashing towards Lu Ming changed direction and slashed towards Ling Yue. Only 2 of them remained, slashing towards Lu Ming. Amidst the continuous rumbling sounds, the feather divine swords that were slashing towards Ling Yue were all pierced through by Ling Yue's arrows. However, at this time, the power of the arrows had also reached its end and dissipated. However, it still forced Gabbert to retreat several thousand meters before stabilizing his body. On the other side, there were only 2 feather divine swords that were successfully blocked by Lu Ming. So powerful. At the scene, everyone's eyes fell on Ling Yue, revealing deep shock. The elves, in particular, found it even more unbelievable. Ling Yue actually had such strong strength. Not only was she able to defeat most of Gabbert's attacks, she was also able to repel Gabbert. How was this possible? It was like a fantasy story. Wasn't Ling Yue a quasi-emperor in the past? Furthermore, she was only ranked in the top 10 of the quasi-emperors. She wasn't even a divine emperor. Compared to Gabbert, there was a difference between heaven and earth. And that arrow just now, the strength that Ling Yue had displayed was simply terrifying. Second Godly Emperor layer. When did the princess break through to the second Godly Emperor layer? Moreover, her elven bloodline is excessively rich. Just now, I felt a terrifying pressure that made me want to submit to her. Me too, I have the same feeling. At the scene, the elves began to discuss among themselves. Gabbert's gaze was also fixed on Ling Yue. His gaze was like two divine swords. Ling Yue, your strength is beyond my imagination. You are even stronger than the legends. You are worthy of me. Who wants to be worthy of you? My fiancé is Mu Yun. Now, scram out of the elf clan. Otherwise, you can only leave behind this divine clone of yours. Ling Yue shouted. Stubborn. There's nothing I can't get, especially women. Now, I'll kill Mu Yun first. Gabbert's face turned cold. Killing intent flashed in the depths of his eyes. The holy light was dense and turned into a sword light that soared into the sky. He was about to launch a thunderous attack. Ling Yue was very direct as she pulled the bowstring. Under Ling Yue's pull, the Elf King's bow, which was stained with blood, continuously vibrated. The blood on the bow seemed to have come to life as it slowly flowed and filled the air with a bloody light. An emerald green arrow with a trace of blood light condensed once again, emitting a terrifying fluctuation. The current Ling Yue was much stronger than when he first met Lu Ming. Not only had his cultivation soared to the second level of the Divine Emperor realm, but he could also control the Elf King's bow that was stained with blood. Most importantly, Ling Yue's bloodline had evolved. Her elf bloodline had reached a terrifying level. It seemed to be able to resonate with the Elf King's bow that was stained with blood, and was able to unleash the power of the Elf King's bow that was stained with blood. This was why she was able to repel Gabbert with a single arrow. Gabbert seemed to have felt the terror of this arrow. His figure quickly changed, wanting to avoid the lock of Ling Yue's arrow. Swoosh! Ling Yue's arrow was directly shot out. As soon as it flew out, it began to change rapidly. One arrow turned into two turned into four turned into 8. In the blink of an eye, they turned into hundreds and thousands of arrows. They were densely packed and filled the air, completely sealing off all of Gabbert's space. Seeing that he couldn't avoid it, Gabbert's face darkened. His aura erupted, transforming into a cross-shaped holy sword that swept out in all directions, wanting to destroy all the arrows. However, when he swept out his sword light, many of the arrows disappeared. It's fake, it's an illusion. Gabbert's expression changed. Just as he was about to move out, it was already too late. Behind him, an arrow suddenly sped up and pierced through Gabbert's back. A gap appeared in Gabbert's divine avatar. Gabbert, send your divine avatar on your way. Ling Yue shouted and drew her bow again. Swish, swish, swish. This time, a total of 7 arrows were shot out. 7 consecutive arrows, linked together like a ray of light, shot towards Gabbert at a terrifying speed. Break for me! Gabbert let out a long roar, his body emitting a dazzling light. His entire body seemed to be burning, transforming into a dazzling sword light that violently slashed out. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion rang out. The air shook violently, and the strength chi overflowed in all directions. A dazzling light erupted, causing many people to be unable to open their eyes. In the next moment, a figure retreated backwards, almost leaving the range of the elven holy tree's tree stump. Young Master Gabbert! Young Master! The angels cried out in alarm. The reason for that was because the figure that was rapidly retreating was none other than Gilbert. Everyone's gaze fell on Gabbert. At this moment, another hole appeared on Gabbert's body, causing Gabbert's body to become even more illusory, as if it would dissipate at any time. Young Master! How dare you hurt young Master Gabbert? The angels roared furiously. Gabbert waved his hand, and the angels immediately quieted down. Good, very good. Gabbert looked at Ling Yue, his eyes filled with a kind of flame. It was the color of greed, and it was even denser than before. Your strength is not bad, but this is only a divine avatar of mine. Its strength is not even 1% of my main body's. However, I am very satisfied that you were able to injure one of my divine avatars, Gabbert said. Ling Yue coldly snorted, her eyes shining as she stared at Gabbert without the slightest fear. Chapter 3942. Right now, Ling Yue had a strong sense of confidence. Even if her current strength was still far from Gabbert's main body, she was confident that sooner or later, she would catch up to Gabbert. She was confident that her current talent was definitely above Gabbert's. After Gabbert finished speaking, he looked at Lu Ming. Just now, Lu Ming didn't make a move because she discovered that Ling Yue's strength was already above Gabbert's divine clone, so there was no need for him to make a move. Mu Yun, do you think you can sit back and relax just by hiding behind a woman? If I want to kill you, you won't be able to escape, Gabbert said coldly. With your cultivation base that is much higher than mine, do you think it's glorious to deal with me? Lu Ming said disdainfully. Having a high cultivation base is also a kind of talent. In this world, cultivation base is the foundation. You and I are both of the younger generation. If your cultivation base is insufficient, it means that you are trash. Do you understand? Gabbert said coldly, still with a high and mighty expression. Although he had lost this battle and his divine clone was about to dissipate, he was still arrogant and high and mighty. Because in this battle, he was only a wisp of divine clone. The difference in strength between him and his main body was too great. There were many methods that he couldn't use. In addition, Ling Yue had relied on a great killing weapon to defeat his divine clone, not on her own strength. Although he had lost, it didn't affect him. He still had the belief that he was invincible. A high cultivation base is also a kind of talent, relying on the endless resources of the angel race or the guidance of countless experts of the angel race. Lu Ming continued to speak, the disdain in his voice growing stronger. I, Mu Yun, come from a small force. I have to rely on myself to fight for all the resources. Every step of improvement is based on my own comprehension. I have to rely on myself to walk step by step until now. I have cultivated for less than 10,000 years. If there were the same conditions, what would you, Gabbert, be in front of me? Lu Ming continued, his voice spreading in all directions. The scene quieted down. Many people revealed thoughtful expressions. That's right, Mu Yun's cultivation time should be about the same as Ling Yue's. They were both young and they came from a small power. They relied on themselves to reach this step, revealing a terrifying and unparalleled battle prowess that was invincible among those of the same level. As for Gabbert, he was born in the angel race, one of the top 10 races in the universe. He had as many resources as he wanted, and he had countless experts to guide him. That was how he had achieved what he had today. Most importantly, Gabbert had been cultivating for at least tens of thousands of years. If the two of them had the same conditions, would Mu Yun be worse than him? You're sharp-tongued. The path of cultivation isn't about talking. It's about strength and combat power. If you're weak, then you're weak. Why do you have to find excuses for your weakness? When my true body descends in the future, I'll kill you with one move. Gabbert's indifferent voice rang out once again. His eyes were still shining brightly, and he was not affected by Lu Ming's words. A person like him had an extremely tenacious mind. How could he doubt his own path and his own path just because of the words of others? Obviously, that was impossible. Kill me with one move? Ha, give me another 10,000 years. No, as long as I have 1,000 years, I'll be able to trample you under my feet. What genius of the angel race! You're nothing in my eyes. Lu Ming said loudly. The scene was silent as everyone looked at Lu Ming in a daze. Was Lu Ming going to challenge Gabbert? But what did he say? He could trample Gabbert under his feet in 1,000 years? Was that possible? Absolutely impossible. For them, 1,000 years was a short period of time. It was just a blink of an eye. The time of one seclusion was far more than 1,000 years. What was Lu Ming's cultivation base now? He was just a quasi-emperor. It was almost impossible for him to break through to the divine emperor realm from the quasi-emperor realm in 1,000 years. Most people had to accumulate endless years in the quasi-emperor realm, which was measured in hundreds of millions of years. It was extremely difficult to accumulate enough to break through to the divine emperor realm in 1,000 years. Taking a step back, even if Lu Ming could break through to the divine emperor realm in 1,000 years, what could he do? Compared to Gabbert, the difference was still like heaven and earth. It was impossible for him to be Gabbert's opponent. It was impossible to challenge Gabbert in 1,000 years. Mu Yun. Ling Yue looked at Lu Ming. Even she felt that it was very difficult. The others also secretly shook their heads. You want to challenge me? Gabbert looked at Lu Ming indifferently. You can say that. Lu Ming said. Are you trying to stall for time for yourself? Since you want to stall for time, you should set a longer date so that you can live a little longer. Gabbert sneered. 1,000 years is enough for a trash like you. If I need a longer time, wouldn't it seem that I'm too useless? Lu Ming said. These words, even with Gabbert's wisdom, caused his eyes to shrink, revealing a trace of anger. How much was he looking down on him? Brat, you're courting death. You overestimate yourself. What qualifications do you have to challenge young Master Gabbert? The few people from the Angel clan shouted one after another. If you don't dare, just say it. If you don't dare, then kill me with your original body. I'll wait for you here and fight with you. Lu Ming said loudly. You want to use such a low-level method to provoke me? Gabbert sneered and said, All right, I agree to your challenge. I'll give you 1,000 years to live for 1,000 more years. In the end, Gabbert agreed. Originally, there was no need for him to agree. How could he be tricked so easily? However, it was only 1,000 years. In the blink of an eye, it didn't matter. This was because the time was simply too short. Furthermore, he had been cultivating recently and had reached a critical juncture. He was about to achieve a breakthrough in one of his secret techniques, and he would need to spend a considerable amount of time in his family. In the short term, his actual body could not come out to hunt Lu Ming down. Therefore, it didn't matter if he agreed. If Lu Ming said that he would challenge him in a few 100 million years or a few stellar years, he would naturally not agree. What? Waves of discussion rang out at the scene. Mu Yun challenged Gabbert, and Gabbert actually agreed. The time was 1,000 years later, and this was truly big news. Just let you live for 1,000 more years? After 1,000 years, no matter where you hide, I will find you, Gabbert continued to speak. After saying this, his body collapsed with a bang and dissipated into the air. This strand of divine power clone of his had been continuously struck by Ling Yue, and it was already difficult for him to maintain it. At this moment, it finally collapsed. Elves, you're very good. An old man from the Angel clan swept his gaze across Ling Huashua and the others. He coldly left behind a sentence, then turned around and left. In the blink of an eye, the people from the Angel clan disappeared without a trace. He came with a strong force and retreated in a sorry state. At the scene, the sounds of discussion grew louder and louder. The center of the discussion was none other than two people, Lu Ming and Ling Yue. One was Lu Ming challenging Gabbert, and the other was Ling Yue's strength. Everyone was very curious. How did Ling Yue's strength increase so much? Chapter 3943. There was a commotion at the scene as everyone discussed. Quiet down, Ling Huashua said and raised his hand. The scene immediately quieted down. Oh, there's a small accident. Now, the holy worshipping ceremony will continue. Didn't you want to know who got the seed of the holy tree? Now, I'll announce it, Ling Huashua said. The elves' eyes were filled with anticipation. They temporarily put aside the matter of the angels. They were more curious about who got the seed of the holy tree. After all, the seed of the holy tree had a greater impact on the elves. It was related to the rise and fall of the elves. Everyone's eyes fell on Ling Huashua, waiting for his announcement. The person who got the seed of the holy tree is, Ling Huashua pointed at Lu Ming and announced loudly, Mu Yun. What? Everyone was shocked. They turned to look at Lu Ming and stared at Lu Ming in a daze. It was Lu Ming. The one who got the seed of the holy tree was Lu Ming. This was beyond everyone's expectations. They thought it was a certain prodigy of the elves. They never expected it to be Lu Ming. After Ling Huafeng, Ling Piao, and the others recommended Mu Yun to participate in the Holy Seed assessment. In the end, Mu Yun exceeded my expectations and brought out the Holy Tree seed from the ancestral land. He even brought out 49 high-grade elven tree seeds. Yue also successfully obtained the opportunity of the Holy Seed Mother Tree, Ling Huashua said. Behind him, Ling Piao, Ling Huafeng, and the others' faces were as black as charcoal. Initially, they had secretly informed Gilbert so that they could make use of the power of the angels to kill Lu Ming. However, in the end, the people from the angels had come but left with their tails between their legs. Lu Ming was still alive and well. Their anger already surged into the heavens, their mentality exploding, extremely unresigned. But now Ling Huashua had touched on their sore spot. He had mentioned that they were the ones who recommended Lu Ming to participate in the Holy Seed assessment, and that was how he got the seed of the Holy Tree. At the thought of this, they felt even more displeased. They felt that their heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys were in pain. What? At this moment, everyone present finally reacted. There was an uproar as they discussed animatedly. They finally knew why Ling Huashua wanted to protect Lu Ming even when facing the pressure of the angels. This was because Lu Ming had made a huge contribution to the angels. No matter what, they had to protect Lu Ming. They finally knew why Ling Yue's cultivation was so fast and her talent reached such an astonishing level. It was also because she obtained the seed of the Holy Seed. Mu Yun, he is a person, he is, and. Previously, many people thought that Ling Huashua should not offend the angels because of Lu Ming. This would be disadvantageous to the elves. But now, their thinking had changed completely. He thought that Ling Huashua had done the right thing. They even thought that Lu Ming would be able to prosper the elf race and bring luck to the elf race. He had yet to marry Ling Yue, but he had already brought the seeds of the Holy Tree and 49 high-level elf tree seeds to the elf race. If he were to get married, what benefits would it bring to the elf race? There were even people urging Lu Ming and Ling Yue to get married quickly. This made Lu Ming speechless. But in the end, most of the elves recognized Lu Ming. Even the younger generation of elves who wanted to pursue Ling Yue also recognized Lu Ming. After all, the seed of the Holy Tree was too important to the elves. Only Ling Piao and the others were hiding at the back, gritting their teeth so hard that they were about to shatter. After announcing the origin of the Holy Tree seed, the sacred worship ceremony continued. In the end, Ling Huashua took out the Holy Tree seed, pushing the atmosphere to its peak. After that, Lu Ming had nothing to do. Lu Ming just watched quietly from the side. The next morning, Lu Ming bid farewell to Ling Yue, Ling Huashua, and the others. "You're leaving so soon. Why don't you stay for a while longer?" Ling Yue looked at Lu Ming with hidden bitterness. That gaze was enough to melt even steel. Fortunately, Lu Ming's heart was harder than steel and he was able to withstand it. "I received news from the sect leader that the Heavenly Palace is about to start recruiting heavenly soldiers. I need to go back and prepare," Lu Ming said. Ling Huashua nodded his head and said, "In the universe, most of the geniuses will choose to join the Heavenly Palace and become a heavenly soldier, obtaining better training. You going to the Heavenly Palace to become a heavenly soldier and train yourself is also a good direction. Back then, I also entered the Heavenly Palace to become a heavenly soldier. Can you still withdraw after becoming a heavenly soldier?" Lu Ming was curious. Ling Huashua was now the elf patriarch, so he definitely wouldn't be a heavenly soldier. This was because when he was a heavenly soldier, he definitely wouldn't be able to return to be the elf patriarch. Of course you can, but there are conditions. As long as you accumulate enough merit points for the Heavenly Palace, you can retire and regain your freedom. Many of the Overlord-level characters in the universe were heavenly soldiers when they were young. Ling Huashua said. "Merit points?" Lu Ming was curious. "You'll know about this when you become a heavenly soldier. It's not convenient for me to reveal too much now," Ling Huashua said. "Does the Heavenly Palace only recruit people from the younger generation when they recruit heavenly soldiers?" Lu Ming asked again. As an overlord and a heavenly soldier, Ling Huashua definitely knew a lot of information. Lu Ming naturally had to seize the opportunity to inquire about it. Not necessarily. Those who are older will also be recruited. It mainly depends on their potential. Those who don't have enough potential won't be recruited. Of course, it's still mainly the younger generation. Ling Huashua explained. Lu Ming nodded and then asked a few more questions, which Ling Huashua answered one by one. After that, Lu Ming bid farewell and left under Ling Yue's reluctant gaze. He left the elf clan and headed towards the Iron Sea Star region. Lu Ming's departure was very secretive. Other than Ling Yue and Ling Huashua, no one else knew about it. It was also to prevent anyone from harming Lu Ming. Ling Yue even made the illusion that Lu Ming was still in the elf clan in order to confuse others. The elf clan was very far away from the Plentiful Sword sect. Lu Ming took a few months to return to the Plentiful Sword sect. Lu Ming did not make a big fuss. Instead, he secretly returned to the Plentiful Sword sect and met with sect leader Wang. Sect leader Wang, where should I sign up for the Heavenly Palace's recruitment of heavenly soldiers? What do I need to prepare? Lu Ming asked. In the past, the registration was from the various heavenly cities. As for the requirements for registration and what needs to be prepared, I still don't know. Sect leader Wang said. Heavenly City was a huge city built by the Heavenly Palace. It floated in the starry sky of the universe. Ordinary people were unable to enter the Heavenly Palace. They could only enter Heavenly City. Chapter 3944. You don't even know the conditions? What do you mean? Lu Ming frowned slightly. Yes, the Heavenly Palace is recruiting heavenly soldiers. Not everyone can sign up. There are conditions. In a few months, on the day of Extreme Een, the Heavenly Palace will issue the conditions for signing up. This condition is actually a requirement. Only those who meet the requirements can sign up. Sect leader Wang explained. I see. Lu Ming nodded. It was still early. There were still 7 to 8 months before the day of Extreme Een. There was no hurry. In the following days, Lu Ming stayed here and focused on cultivating. He mainly focused on comprehending the Great God Wind technique and the Great Shattering technique. Time flew. In the blink of an eye, it was the day of Extreme Een. The day of Extreme Een was a very special day. On this day, the Yang Qi of the entire primitive universe would be weak and the Yin Qi would be strong. This day only happened once in many years. It was a great opportunity for those who cultivated Extreme Een techniques. Cultivating on this day would often result in great breakthroughs. On this day, the Heavenly Palace finally issued the requirements for signing up for the Heavenly Soldier assessment through the dreamy Heavenly Jade. Those who wanted to sign up had to bring a wisp of spiritual Yin Qi. Moreover, they had to obtain it themselves to meet the requirements. Buying it or giving it to others did not meet the requirements. Only those who had a wisp of spiritual Yin Qi could sign up in the Heavenly City and qualify for the Heavenly Soldier assessment. Demonic Yin Qi? Lu Ming was confused. He immediately asked Sect Leader Wang. After Sect Leader Wang's explanation, Lu Ming finally understood. On the day of Extreme Een, there would be a lot of demonic Yin Qi in all parts of the universe. Many demonic Yin Qi would even give birth to spiritual Yin Qi, especially in places with extremely dense Yin Qi and demonic Qi. It was easier for them to be born. Those who wanted to sign up for the Heavenly Soldier assessment had to find demonic Yin Qi with spiritual Yin Qi. Only those who obtained demonic Yin Qi with spiritual Yin Qi were qualified to sign up. Moreover, they had to obtain it themselves. If others helped them, it did not count. You might ask, how would the Heavenly Palace know if they obtained it themselves? This was because there were people in the Heavenly Palace who were good at calculation. As long as they got hold of a spiritual Yin Qi, they would be able to calculate it. Once it was discovered that it had been purchased or obtained with the help of an elder, it would be considered as cheating the Heavenly Palace. The consequences of deceiving the Heavenly Palace would be severe. It wasn't that there weren't such people in history, but in the end, these people all disappeared and never appeared again. Everyone knew in their hearts that these people would never appear again. Sect Leader Wang, do you know which places in the universe have denser baleful Yin Qi? It is more likely that there will be baleful Yin Qi with spirituality. Lu Ming asked. In the universe, there are many places with dense baleful yin energy. There are also many places where baleful yin energy can be found. However, it is not easy for ordinary people to obtain baleful yin energy with spirituality. Sect Head Wang explained. What do you mean? Lu Ming asked. Because there are so many people who want to participate in the Heavenly Soldier examination. Countless races in the primitive universe will participate. Therefore, I'm afraid that many baleful yin lands will be sealed off by the experts of those powerful forces. It will be difficult for outsiders to interfere. Sect Head Wang said. Didn't they say that others can't help? Why can those powerful forces still send people to seal off those places? Lu Ming frowned. They just send people to seal off certain areas and let those forces' own people enter those areas to search for baleful yin qi. Even if they don't help, the Heavenly Palace will not be able to calculate it. This is called the Heavenly Palace has a policy, and there are countermeasures below, Sect Head Wang explained. Lu Ming was speechless and frowned. In this way, it would be really difficult to obtain baleful yin qi with spirituality. Some famous baleful yin places would be sealed off by those powerful forces. It would be difficult for others to enter and compete for them. Then the others can only try their luck? Lu Ming said. Was he going to be stumped at the first hurdle? He did not have to enter the Heavenly Palace to become a heavenly soldier. However, the mid-autumn moon was likely to be taken away by the big shots in the dreamy Heavenly Palace. If he did not enter the Heavenly Palace, how could he inquire about the mid-autumn moon? He would not be at ease if he did not find out more about the mid-autumn moon. Moreover, during this period he also knew that becoming a heavenly soldier in the Heavenly Palace was an excellent training. In the universe, 90% of the overlords had entered the Heavenly Palace and become a heavenly soldier. Many geniuses would experience explosive growth in their cultivation after entering the Celestial Palace, leaving those who did not enter in the dust. If they wanted to go further in the future, they would need to become celestial soldiers, which would be very useful. Therefore, Lu Ming still hoped to become a heavenly soldier. He could not be stopped at the first step. Indeed, people from small forces can only try their luck, or go to places where the baleful yin qi is not very dense. After all, in the universe, there are some places where the baleful yin qi is not very dense, but there will still be baleful yin qi with spirituality born on the day of extreme yin. Leader Wang explained. After chatting with Leader Wang for a while, Leader Wang left, leaving Lu Ming alone to ponder. Lu Ming, I have a place that I can recommend you to go. At this time, Gu Mo's voice sounded. What place? Lu Ming was delighted. That place is called the Land of 1,000 Graves. It contains rich baleful yin qi, and there is a great chance that baleful yin qi with spirituality will be born there. Gu Mo said. Such a place should be blocked by many powerful forces. How can I go in? Lu Ming said. Don't worry, I have stayed in that place for a period of time, so I am very familiar with it. Even if those forces block it tightly, I will have a way to go in. Moreover, I have hidden some things in that place. There are 3,000 ancient secret skills and some ordinary secret skills of diabolism. They are suitable for you. Gu Mo said. There are 3,000 ancient secret skills? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He immediately decided that he must go to that place. Since Gu Mo said that he could go, there should be no problem. Okay, let's go then. Lu Ming immediately made up his mind. He then took out a few pieces of Starry Sky map and began to observe. These pieces of Starry Sky map were obtained from the elf tribe. They were the best Starry Sky map, covering most of the territories in the universe. Only a powerful race like the elf tribe would have such a Starry Sky map. This kind of Starry Sky map was very precious. If not for Lu Ming's great kindness to the elf tribe, he would not have been able to obtain it. Soon, Lu Ming found the location of the Land of 1,000 Graves on the Starry Sky map. It was still some distance away from the Iron Sea Star Zone group. Lu Ming immediately rushed over. Half a month later, Lu Ming arrived at the vicinity of the Land of 1,000 Graves. He was indeed one step too late. The vast Land of 1,000 Graves had been blocked by several forces. There were a total of 2 powerful races that had sealed off the Land of 1,000 Graves. Chapter 3945. The Yaksha tribe and the Sun Moon tribe were two extremely powerful and terrifying tribes. They were ranked 29th and 32nd respectively on the primitive tribe board. Their strength was not weaker than the elf tribe. In fact, they were even stronger. The experts of the two tribes each took half of the area and sealed off the outer perimeter of the land of 1,000 graves. It was difficult for others to enter. Even from a distance, one could feel a powerful aura in the starry sky. It was intimidating. The experts of the two tribes sealed off the perimeter. Those who were interested in participating in the Heavenly Palace's Heavenly Soldier test were all in the land of 1,000 graves, searching for evil Yin Qi. Whoever found it would be able to participate in the Heavenly Soldier test. These superpowers are really overbearing. Lu Ming exclaimed. The land of 1,000 graves was special. Its core area was a huge continent that floated in the starry sky. And in the starry sky around the continent, there were some small fragments floating. Some of these fragments were only a few dozen meters in size, while others were a few kilometers in size. Naturally, it was impossible for these small fragments to have baleful Yin Qi. Only the huge continent at the core had it. From afar, Lu Ming saw a burly figure standing on one of the small fragments. This figure was in human form. He was about 3 meters tall and had green skin. His eyes were like copper bells and he had fangs in his mouth. This was the typical appearance of the Yaksha tribe. This Yaksha tribe's aura was extremely terrifying. His eyes swept across the starry sky like two beams of light. His powerful aura made the starry sky tremble. This Yaksha tribe's cultivation was at least at the peak divine emperor realm or even higher. It was not something that Lu Ming could fight against. This was only one direction. In other directions, there was a terrifying existence at regular intervals. They had completely sealed off the core area of the land of 1,000 graves. If anyone tried to force their way in, they would definitely be attacked. Lu Ming sighed and asked Bone Demon how to get in. That's easy. Do you see those small fragments around? Back then, I set up a teleportation array on one of the small fragments. It can send you directly to the core continent. I'll take you there. Bone Demon said. Following that, Lu Ming flew in a certain direction according to Bone Demon's instructions. There were many fragments around the core of the land of 1,000 graves. Some of them were very far away from the core continent. Naturally, the Yaksha tribe and Sun Moon tribe could not detect all of them. In fact, they were only blocking access to the core continent to prevent others from entering. As for who might be spying on them, they couldn't be bothered. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at a small fragment. The diameter of the fragment was only a few hundred meters. This kind of land is really strange. It is incomparably cold and deathly still. However, there seems to be a trace of life within it. After landing on this fragment, Lu Ming could feel that this fragment was indeed extraordinary. It was quite different from the other fragments. Of course. Otherwise, many powerful existences in ancient times would not have buried themselves here, Guemo said. Bury himself here? Lu Ming was puzzled. You'll know once you enter the real land of 10,000 graves, Bone Demon said, but did not explain too much for the time being. Lu Ming looked around the fragment but could not find any traces of the teleportation array. Where is the teleportation array you mentioned? Lu Ming asked. Hey, isn't that the teleportation array? Bone Demon flew out and pointed at a place. Lu Ming looked over and did not know whether to laugh or cry. The place Bone Demon was pointing at was a pile of rocks. A pile of rocks was a teleportation array? What's with your expression? Kid, this is my method. I just casually set up a teleportation array. If it was set up nicely, do you think it would still be around after so many years? Bone Demon said unhappily. Lu Ming had to admit that Bone Demon's words made sense. If it was set up like a teleportation array, it would have been long gone and discovered by others. Only if it was set up like a pile of rocks would no one discover it. The Bone Devil began to attack. It waved its bone claws and pitch-black runes flew out and landed on the pile of rubble. In the next moment, the rubble began to shine brightly and a vortex appeared. Go in quickly. The experts nearby will sense it soon. Bone Demon hurriedly urged. He turned into a ray of light and flew into Lu Ming's glabella. Lu Ming did not delay at all. He took a step forward, landed in the vortex, and disappeared. As soon as Lu Ming's figure disappeared, the vortex disappeared as well. Just as the vortex disappeared, a burly figure descended from the sky and landed on the fragment, causing it to tremble. It was an expert from the Wuxia race. His eyes were filled with ferocity as he looked around in confusion. I clearly felt some movement here just now. There were spatial fluctuations. How did it disappear in the blink of an eye? The Wuxia expert muttered. Then, his eyes flashed as he punched the fragment. With a boom, the fragment exploded into even smaller fragments. The teleportation array was naturally destroyed as well. Who cares what happened? Destroy it first. The Wuxia expert muttered. His figure flashed and he left. He stepped into the teleportation array. The next moment, he appeared in a call in the mountains. He had arrived at the core continent of the land of myriad tombs. Looking around, there was not a single blade of grass on the ground. It was dead silent. But in the dead silence, there seemed to be a life force being born. It was very contradictory but also very strange. This feeling was even stronger than the fragments outside. Lu Ming spread out his spiritual sense and found that there were no auras of other living beings. Then, Lu Ming soared into the sky and looked around. He found that this was only the periphery of the continent. In the distance, he could still see the fragments in the starry sky. That is, Lu Ming looked at the ground and found several huge hills. No, they were not hills. They were clearly tombs. The land of myriad tombs is indeed worthy of its reputation. But who is buried here? Lu Ming was puzzled. In ancient times, after many mighty figures died, their descendants would bury them here. Many mighty figures would even choose to be buried here when they reached the end of their lifespan. Guemo said. Why is that? Lu Ming was curious. It has to do with the terrain here. You should have noticed the peculiarity of the terrain here. Legend has it that after death, being buried here can bring one back to life. There is a possibility of resurrection. There is also another saying that the feng shui here is excellent. Being buried here can bring luck to the descendants and protect them. Gumo said, there is such a saying? Lu Ming thought of the land here. There was a trace of life in the dead silence. Could it really be possible to come back to life? This shocked him greatly. Chapter 3946. Lu Ming was shocked. Resurrection? Was it really possible to resurrect the dead? He knew about reincarnation and reincarnation could be real. For example, Xian Yanqing was reincarnation. However, resurrection sounded even more mysterious. Was it possible to come back from the dead after one's lifespan was depleted and live another life? There was a period of time when these two legends were very popular. Therefore, during that period of time, many powerful existences fell and were buried here. This place became the burial ground of countless powerful experts, so it was called the land of 10,000 graves. Guemo whispered. Then, did anyone really come back from the dead? Lu Ming asked. Facts have proven that those two legends are false. Over the countless years, not a single one of those supreme beings who were buried in there was able to come back from the dead. As for being able to protect their descendants, that's not necessarily true. The destruction of countless forces is proof of that. Later on, no one believed in these two legends. However, there were too many experts buried here and the yin qi was thick. Naturally, it became the land of a haze. Guemo said. Lu Ming nodded. So, this was the origin of the land of 1,000 graves. If you want to find haze qi, you can only look for it in the graves. Only those graves have the thickest haze qi. Only then can spiritual haze qi be born. Moreover, legend has it that the core of the mainland has the best effect and the chances of resurrection are the highest. Hence, the more powerful the being is, the more likely it is to be buried in the core. Hence, the more likely it is for spiritual haze qi to be born. Guemo explained. Lu Ming nodded. He already had a plan in mind. Swoosh. Lu Ming flew towards the few large graves. As he neared, Lu Ming realized that the graves had been opened. The tombstones had been moved away. Obviously, the Hag tribe or Sun Moon tribe had taken them first. Lu Ming did not stop and continued to fly towards the depths of the mainland. Along the way, Lu Ming saw many large graves. They were tall and majestic like small hills. However, they had all been opened. Lu Ming naturally had no interest in exploring those that had been opened, so he continued to fly inside. More than an hour later, Lu Ming suddenly noticed a figure flashing in front of him. Lu Ming immediately stopped and retracted his aura. He landed on the ground and moved forward along the ground. After approaching, Lu Ming first discovered a huge grave. This large tomb was paved with gold and jade. Although many years had passed, it was still dazzling. And it was especially tall, like a huge mountain peak. At this moment, a group of people were surrounding the tomb, busying themselves with their work. Lu Ming glanced at them and knew that they were all from the Wuxia tribe. Moreover, they all looked quite young. There were more than 20 of them. The Heavenly Palace did not set an age limit when recruiting heavenly soldiers. Older people could also participate, but in reality, those powerful races almost never sent older people to participate. Because of their age, their potential was limited. After becoming a heavenly soldier, it was not easy to quit. They had to accumulate a certain amount of contribution points before they could quit. Because of their age, their potential was limited. It was very difficult to accumulate a certain amount of contribution points. They had to stay in the Heavenly Palace for the rest of their lives. Only the young geniuses with unlimited potential could become heavenly soldiers and accumulate enough contribution points in the future to quit the heavenly soldiers. They would regain their freedom. Only those who felt that cultivation was difficult, or those who wanted to rely on the Heavenly Palace would choose to become heavenly soldiers. They would work hard for the heavenly soldiers for the rest of their lives. Even so, the Heavenly Palace would still select them. Those who did not have enough potential would be eliminated by the Heavenly Palace. Even if they were older, they had to have potential. For top races like the Wuxia tribe and the Sun Moon tribe, they naturally would not send older geniuses to become heavenly soldiers. Those who participated were all young geniuses. More than 20 geniuses from the Wuxia tribe were circling around the majestic grave. Lu Ming looked carefully and realized that there was a protective array around the grave. The geniuses from the Wuxia tribe were trying to break the array. Such a huge grave, there should be haze chi in it, right? Lu Ming thought. Lu Ming decided that if there was haze chi here, he would take it for himself. Lu Ming could not be bothered with the geniuses from the Wuxia tribe and the Sun Moon tribe. His goal now was to obtain a wisp of haze chi with spirituality to meet the requirements to register as a heavenly soldier. Then he would enter the core of the grave of 1,000 graves and obtain the ancient secret skill and other demon secret skills left behind by the bone demon. It was useless to have too many baleful yin chi with spirituality. Just one strand was enough. Lu Ming hid himself and waited quietly. About 2 hours later, buzz. The surroundings of the large tomb emitted a resplendent light. Following that, the light formed a large runic array that floated in the air. However, in just 3 breaths of time, the runic array exploded with a bang and turned into a rain of light that dissipated in the air. The array around the grave was broken. Swoosh, 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 the 20 or so Wuxia geniuses immediately charged toward the burial mound. They unleashed their godly power and opened the tombstones. Then, more than 20 geniuses from the Wuxia tribe rushed into the grave. Although they were all geniuses from the Wuxia tribe, they were actually competitors. After all, whoever obtained the haze chi would be able to register for the heavenly soldier test, and the elders of the Wuxia tribe could not interfere. No matter how talented one was or how strong one's background was, if one did not obtain the haze chi, the senior members of the Wuxia tribe would not dare to interfere. If the Heavenly Palace found out, the consequences would be dire. Should I go in? Lu Ming thought. In the end, Lu Ming decided to wait a little longer. He was not sure if there was any haze chi in the grave. If there was no haze chi, he would expose himself if he rushed out now. It would not be too late to rush out after confirming that there was haze chi. However, Lu Ming did not wait for more than 2 minutes before something strange happened. Suddenly, a terrifying roar came from the grave. A terrifying aura rushed out of the grave, causing the ground to shake violently. There's a terrifying creature in the grave. Lu Ming's expression changed. That's to be expected. There are many powerful entities buried here. Some of them were turned to ash, and some of them, by chance and coincidence, would undergo bizarre transformations and turn into dead spirits. Clearly, there is a dead spirit in this tomb. Guemo explained. Lu Ming's face turned pale. Why didn't Guemo explain this before? What a scam! Those who were buried here were all powerful beings. Even if they turned into dead spirits after death, they would still be terrifying. Terrifying haze chi continued to flow out of the grave. Cries of alarm rang out as the Yaksha race prodigies rushed out of the burial mound in a panic. Chapter 3947. Lu Ming had seen clearly earlier that 23 of them had gone in. However, only 18 of them had come out. That was to say, the 5 geniuses of the Yaksha tribe had most likely been trapped inside forever. The remaining 18 of them ran out of the tomb in a panic. The roaring continued, and Lu Ming saw a claw that resembled a ferocious tiger reaching out from the tomb. However, the claw looked horrifying, as if it was rotten. Rotten flesh hung on it, and bones could be seen. The claws were extremely fast. One of the geniuses of the Yaksha race was caught by the claws. He screamed in fear and struggled with all his might. His attacks landed on the claws, but they were all useless. The Yaksha race's genius exploded from the claw. Another roar was heard, and a huge creature rushed out of the tomb. It was a creature that looked like a tiger. It was dozens of meters tall, but it looked horrifying. Its body was covered in rotten flesh, and its bones were exposed. 2 green flames danced in its eye sockets. Bone Devil was right. This ferocious tiger had completely turned into a dead spirit. The tiger undead spirit continued to roar. It stared at the remaining geniuses of the Yaksha clan and continued to rush towards them. Use the evil suppression seal. One of the Yaksha prodigies shouted. Then, one of the geniuses from the Yaksha tribe stopped and waved his hand. Golden talismans flew out and floated in the air, emitting a brilliant glow. There were 18 seals in total, and they pressed down on the tiger undead spirit like a wall. The other geniuses of the Yaksha race stopped and channeled their god force into the golden seal. The golden seal shone even brighter, and the evil aura dissipated rapidly wherever the golden light passed. The ferocious tiger undead spirit revealed a trace of fear when it saw the golden seal. In the end, it let out a furious roar and madly pounced at the golden seal. Boom! The ferocious tiger slammed into the golden seal, causing a loud explosion. Then, a sizzling sound came from the ferocious tiger's body. It was like ice meeting fire, emitting bursts of green smoke. The tiger undead spirit roared and retreated. It was obvious that the tiger undead spirit was restrained. The Yaksha prodigies had come prepared, and some of them had brought along the evil suppression seal. The evil suppression seal was used to restrain evil beings, such as undead spirits. It didn't need to be strong to unleash its power. It was most effective against powerful evil beings. This kind of evil suppressing talisman was not very powerful when used to fight with other people, because it did not have a restraining effect. However, it was extremely effective when used to deal with undead. Continue! Shouted the Yaksha genius who had taken out the evil suppressing talisman. The other Yaksha geniuses also poured their god force into the evil suppressing talisman. The 18 evil suppressing talisman shone with golden light and pressed down on the tiger undead spirit. The tiger undead spirit roared like thunder. Although it was very powerful, it was completely suppressed by the evil suppression sigil. Fear appeared in its eyes as it was forced back again and again by the evil suppression sigil. In the end, it simply turned around and fled back into the great tomb. The Yaksha prodigies heaved a sigh of relief. Let's go, there's no baleful Yin Chi in this tomb. The prodigy with the evil suppression seal shook his head and put it away. He flew away and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The others also left quickly. It seems like it's not that easy to get evil energy with spirituality. Lu Ming shook his head and left. Next, Lu Ming encountered many large tombs. Most of them had been explored. Under the guidance of the Bone Demon, Lu Ming also explored the few tombs that he had not explored. However, he did not discover any sinister aura. Lu Ming could only go deeper into the myriad tombs. The myriad tombs was huge, and Lu Ming didn't find any evil energy even after walking around for half a day. Boom boom boom. Suddenly, a loud explosion came from ahead, accompanied by a dazzling golden light that lit up the sky. That's the light of the evil suppression seal. Lu Ming carefully walked in that direction and hid in the dark to observe. A terrifying roar shook the void. Lu Ming saw a huge tomb in front of him. It was even bigger than the tomb with the ferocious tiger dead spirit. At that moment, a group of Wuxia elites was besieging a dead spirit. The undead spirit looked like a crocodile, but its body was in tatters. Its aura was terrifying, several times stronger than the tiger undead spirit. There were at least 100 Wuxia prodigies attacking the crocodile undead spirit. Of course, the Wuxia prodigies were no match for the undead spirit. They relied on the evil suppression seal. Furthermore, it wasn't just one set. There were 3 sets, and each set had 18 golden talismans. The 100 Wuxia prodigies were divided into 3 groups. Each group had dozens of people, and they worked together to activate a set of evil suppression seal. The 3 sets of evil suppression seal shone brightly and pressed down on the crocodile undead spirit. There's a strand of baleful yin qi inside. Let's first work together to get rid of this evil spirit, then fight for the baleful yin qi. In the end, the baleful yin qi will belong to whoever has the ability. One of the Wuxia prodigies shouted. That's right. Let's not hold back. Give it your all. Give it your all. All the geniuses from the Wuxia tribe shouted. Then, all the geniuses from the Wuxia tribe used their full strength. They had not used their full strength before. They had been waiting for the others to use their full strength. Now that they had reached an agreement, the Wuxia prodigies poured their divine energy into the evil suppression seal and maximized its power. The 3 sets of evil suppressing runes continued to press down on the crocodile undead spirit. Moreover, they were divided into 3 directions, completely surrounding the crocodile undead spirit in the middle. The crocodile undead spirit wanted to rush out, but it was unable to do so. The crocodile undead spirit was also trying to attack, but as soon as it got close to the evil suppressing rune, the power of the evil suppressing rune would erupt with shocking power. The crocodile undead spirit's body emitted a sizzling sound as it emitted bursts of green smoke. Its rotten flesh and bones were constantly being corroded and melted, and its aura became weaker and weaker. Keep it up. This undead spirit won't last long. A Wuxia prodigy shouted. In the distance, Lu Ming's eyes were shining. There's actually baleful yin qi in this great tomb? Lu Ming whispered, his eyes glowing. Lu Ming did not want to miss out on this opportunity. He wanted to get the evil energy and complete the mission as soon as possible. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the place. That strand of baleful yin energy should still be in the great tomb. Right now, the Wuxia geniuses were besieging the dead crocodile spirit. If he entered the great tomb now, he might be able to catch them off guard and obtain the baleful yin energy. Chapter 3948. Having made up his mind, Lu Ming immediately took action. Using the obstacles, he carefully made his way towards the entrance of the tomb. Lu Ming was not discovered. He was within 10,000 meters of the entrance of the tomb. Lu Ming revealed a smile. Just as he was about to dash into the tomb in one go, suddenly, roar. The crocodile dead spirit let out a furious roar as it stared at Lu Ming with its ferocious eyes. Nestle, I've been discovered. This crocodile dead spirit's senses are too sharp. It can sense someone approaching the tomb. Lu Ming really wanted to curse out loud. Obviously, this crocodile dead spirit's senses were extremely sharp. The moment other living beings approached the tomb, they would be discovered. Lu Ming had successfully avoided the eyes of the Wuxia tribe, but he could not avoid the crocodile dead spirit's senses. The crocodile dead spirit's roar immediately attracted the attention of the Wuxia tribe elites. They all looked towards Lu Ming and discovered Lu Ming. It's a human. It's actually a human. How did he get in? Damn it, he wanted to steal the haze energy when we weren't paying attention. He's courting death. The moment the Wuxia tribe elites saw Lu Ming, they guessed Lu Ming's intentions and roared angrily. At the same time, they were shocked and confused. They could tell at a glance that Lu Ming was a human. Then how did Lu Ming get in? The entire tomb of 1,000 graves had been sealed off by the Wuxia tribe and the Sun Moon tribe. Recently, there should only be people from the Wuxia tribe and the Sun Moon tribe in the tomb of 1,000 graves. How did Lu Ming, a human, appear here? How did he get in? Could it be that he had been hiding in the tomb of 1,000 graves for a long time? Furthermore, he dared to covet their haze energy. He was courting death. It seems like it's impossible to steal the haze energy secretly. Then, let's do it openly. Lu Ming was speechless. However, since he had been discovered, Lu Ming was not afraid of trouble. He sped up and rushed into the tomb. "You're courting death. Stop him!" The geniuses of the Wuxia race roared. They channeled all their strength into the evil-suppressing sigil, hoping to get rid of the crocodile once and for all, then deal with Lu Ming. However, the crocodile undead spirit was extremely powerful. Although they used all their strength to control the evil-suppressing runes to bombard the crocodile undead spirit, causing its body to emit sizzling sounds and thick smoke to fill the air, they were unable to completely obliterate the crocodile undead spirit. "Send someone to deal with that brat first. That kid is only a quasi-emperor. I'll go kill him," the elites of the Wuxia tribe hollered. Then, a few figures dashed toward Lu Ming at high speed. These figures were all at the quasi-emperor realm. The Wuxia race was very talented. Their combat power was usually much stronger than other races of the same level, let alone humans. They did not take Lu Ming seriously at all. Therefore, when they saw that Lu Ming was only at the quasi-emperor level, the Wuxia race's quasi-emperor elites thought that they could easily deal with Lu Ming. There was a total of 3 quasi-emperors with ferocious faces and ferocious fangs. They held tridents in their hands and charged toward Lu Ming. Before they arrived, the tridents pierced toward Lu Ming with a terrifying whistling sound. Lu Ming's gaze turned cold. His palm was like a saber as he slashed horizontally. A ray of divine light tore through the void and defeated the attacks of the 3 Wuxias. At the same time, the 3 quasi-emperor geniuses of the Wuxias were killed before they could even scream. The remaining Wuxia race's geniuses looked furious. "That boy is not weak. I'll go and kill him," said a Wuxia cultivator of the first godly emperor layer, flying towards Lu Ming. "I'll go and fight him too," said another godly emperor layer cultivator, flying towards Lu Ming. A few Wuxia race's geniuses flew towards Lu Ming, which annoyed the other Wuxia race's geniuses. "You want to kill that boy and then take the gloomy Yin Chi from the grave? Impossible. You think I can't see through such a cheap trick? I'll pretend to kill that boy and take the gloomy Yin Chi first." Many Wuxia race's geniuses stopped attacking the crocodile and threw themselves at Lu Ming. On the surface, it looked like they were working together, but in reality, they all wanted to take the gloomy Yin Chi first. Therefore, they wanted to take the opportunity to go into the grave first. Killing Lu Ming was just an excuse. Lu Ming was just a quasi-emperor. Even if he could easily kill the quasi-emperors of the Wuxia race, the godly emperors wouldn't take him seriously. "You want to take the gloomy Yin Chi? In your dreams. I'll go too." The remaining Wuxia race's geniuses weren't stupid either. When they saw the others rushing towards the grave, they also killed the crocodile and rushed towards the grave. Very quickly, only a few Wuxia race's geniuses were left. The remaining Wuxia race's geniuses couldn't suppress the crocodile anymore. The crocodile roared and rushed towards the evil suppression talisman. Boom! The evil suppression talisman was sent flying away by the crocodile's geniuses. The crocodile rushed out of the encirclement and rushed towards the grave. "Wow, it's so lively here." Lu Ming was speechless. He wrapped himself in the great divine wind skill and dashed toward the tomb like a phantom. He dashed into the tomb through the entrance. The tomb was pitch black and filled with sinister aura. Waves of sinister aura rushed toward Lu Ming continuously. Lu Ming used the taboo power to protect his body and blocked the sinister aura. "Where is the gloomy Yin Chi?" Lu Ming looked around. The great tomb was huge, and the inside was like a palace, extending in all directions. The gloomy yin qi can only be found in the place with the densest yin qi. Said Guamo. Lu Ming didn't hesitate and rushed towards the place with the densest yin qi. That. Behind him, shouts filled the air. The crocodile's geniuses were extremely fast. It caught up with the Yiksha race's geniuses and they started fighting. However, the crocodile undead spirit had been severely injured by the evil suppression talisman. Although it still retained some of its strength, it was no longer invincible. At the very least, the Yiksha sky prides were locked in a fierce battle with the crocodile undead spirit. Some of the Yiksha race's geniuses were extremely fast and were about to catch up with Lu Ming. "Little boy, die!" shouted a Yiksha race's genius who had the strength of the first godly emperor layer. His trident pierced through the air towards Lu Ming. That Yiksha race's genius was extremely strong. He was much stronger than ordinary cultivators of the first godly emperor layer. However, compared to Hua Tian from the elf clan, he was much weaker. Compared to Lu Ming, he was even weaker. However, Lu Ming's target was the sinister aura. He had no intention of fighting with these people from the Yiksha tribe. He executed the great divine wind skill and dodged the attack of the Yiksha tribe's prodigy in a flash. He continued to move forward and dashed into the underground grotto. The yin qi there was even denser. Inside the yin qi, there was an qi which kept twisting and turning. It looked like a dragon. It was the gloomy yin qi. Chapter 3949. It was gloomy yin qi. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. This constantly twisting airflow was the sinister aura. It was nurtured by the power of extreme yin. It would be of great help to those who cultivated the path of extreme yin in their cultivation. Or it could be used to refine weapons. It would also be an excellent material. Of course, nobody would use it to practice cultivation or make weapons. They would use it to qualify for the Celestial Soldier exam. Lu Ming threw himself at the gloomy yin qi. He condensed a gigantic hand and grabbed the gloomy yin qi. Unexpectedly, the process was very smooth. Lu Ming grabbed the sinister aura in his hands and kept it in a storage ring without hesitation. "You want to die?" The geniuses from the Yiksha tribe were enraged. They charged toward Lu Ming and thrust their tridents at him. According to the rules of the Heavenly Palace, cultivators couldn't rely on others to obtain gloomy yin qi. Killing and stealing other people's gloomy yin qi was also their own strength. In a flash, at least 6 people attacked Lu Ming. Lu Ming's silhouette flickered and he dodged 3 attacks. Then he raised his hand and slashed at the other 3 attacks. Boom, boom. Lu Ming slashed at the 3 tridents consecutively. The 3 tridents shook violently and fine cracks appeared on them. They then exploded into pieces with a loud bang. He didn't stop attacking the 3 geniuses of the Yiksha clan. The 3 geniuses had the strength of the first godly emperor layer. They couldn't compete with Lu Ming at all. They coughed up blood and retreated a few hundred meters away. Their bodies were covered in wounds. The 3 sky prides of the Yiksha tribe screamed in terror. In the next moment, their bodies exploded and they died on the spot. Lu Ming didn't stop. He continued moving forward. The other geniuses of the Yiksha clan were astonished and furious. They all attacked Lu Ming. This time, at least 20 geniuses of the Yiksha clan attacked Lu Ming. There weren't only cultivators of the first godly emperor layer, there were also cultivators of the second godly emperor layer. Lu Ming was fearless. He dashed into the crowd of the Yiksha tribe's prodigies. He unleashed his full combat ability and launched a fierce attack. A series of explosions sounded. The void shook crazily. It was completely torn apart, blasted through. The entire great necropolis shook violently. However, the owner of the great necropolis, that crocodile undead spirit, had been extraordinary when it was alive. Therefore, the great necropolis he had built was also extraordinary. The materials used were tough and indestructible, and he had set up all sorts of reinforcing formations. Even when their attacks hit the walls of the great necropolis, they didn't cause any damage. After a series of clashes, the Yikshas were forced to retreat one after another. Those who had the strength of the first godly emperor layer were coughing up blood. They were severely injured. And this was because Lu Ming had dispersed his power. Otherwise, they wouldn't have just been injured. Even the geniuses of the second godly emperor layer coughed up blood and retreated. Shocking. The geniuses of the Wuxia clan were astonished. They were all geniuses and extremely strong. They all had the strength of the first godly emperor layer, the second godly emperor layer, and so many of them had joined hands to fight against Lu Ming. Surprisingly, they were defeated by Lu Ming. What kind of monstrous cultivator was Lu Ming? How could a human be so strong? After Lu Ming forced the geniuses of the Wuxia clan to retreat, he continued moving forward. Lu Ming had a few wounds on his body after the earlier confrontation. After all, he could not avoid the joint attack of more than 20 Wuxia geniuses. However, these injuries did not affect him much. They were just minor injuries. "We have to kill that little boy." "I'll go and kill him," shouted some geniuses of the third godly emperor layer. They had the strength of the third godly emperor layer, but they hadn't fought against Lu Ming because they had controlled the talisman. At that moment, a few geniuses of the third godly emperor realm were charging towards Lu Ming. Their violent auras covered the sky and the earth, causing the void to be torn apart. Lu Ming looked worried. Those geniuses of the Wuxia clan were extremely strong. They were much stronger than ordinary cultivators of the same level. Lu Ming could fight against those of the second godly emperor layer, but against those of the third godly emperor layer, Lu Ming couldn't defeat them. However, Lu Ming had many trump cards. Qiu turned into an armor and covered Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming was about to charge over when a roar was heard. The crocodile spirit had also rushed over. It had a ferocious look in its eyes as it launched a frenzied attack. It didn't have a target, it just attacked. The geniuses of the Wuxia clan were in front of it, so of course, it attacked them. The geniuses of the third godly emperor layer were startled. They had no choice but to stop and fight against the crocodile. They controlled the talisman and threw it at the crocodile. Boom! The crocodile crashed into the talisman. The talisman shook violently. One of the geniuses of the Wuxia clan who controlled the talisman was pushed back. The higher the cultivation of the person controlling the evil suppressing sigil, the more people controlling it, the more powerful it would be. If one person controlled it, the power would be a bit strong, so it would be repelled. Roar, roar, roar. The crocodile roared and bit down on the two Wuxia prodigies with its mouth full of sharp teeth. After a few bites, the Wuxia prodigies were torn to pieces. The geniuses of the Wuxia clan joined hands and controlled the talisman to suppress the crocodile. Move back and control the talisman together. Drive the crocodile away to fight against that little bastard from the Wuxia clan. One of the geniuses of the Wuxia clan said to the other geniuses telepathically. The geniuses of the Wuxia clan nodded and moved back. They blocked the exit of the Great Tomb and controlled the talisman together. There were 3 talismans in total. They emitted a dazzling golden light and moved towards the crocodile from the exit of the Great Tomb. The crocodile roared. It didn't dare attack the exit, so it tried to enter the Great Tomb. Lu Ming was inside the Great Tomb. He wanted to get out of the Great Tomb, but the crocodile and the geniuses of the Wuxia clan were in the way. The crocodile's spirit roared loudly. With a violent aura, it charged toward Lu Ming. The airwaves were like mountains and seas. The divine power of this crocodile spirit was very powerful. Although it had been restrained by the evil-suppressing rune previously and its flesh and blood had melted, its strength had been greatly reduced, it was still stronger than Lu Ming. Swoosh! Lu Ming didn't want to fight the crocodile head-on. He used the greater godly wind technique and retreated. The crocodile chased after Lu Ming. Go in! The geniuses of the Wuxia clan shouted and controlled the 3 talismans to suppress the crocodile. They chased after Lu Ming. Lu Ming didn't take it head-on. He kept retreating. When he reached an open space, Lu Ming suddenly rushed towards the crocodile. Swoosh! The crocodile's tail was covered with rotten flesh. It whipped at Lu Ming, and the void shattered. Lu Ming waved Qiu's silver spear and lashed out. Chapter 3950. Lu Ming waved the silver spear that Qiu had transformed into and lashed out. The silver spear rapidly expanded and collided with the crocodile's tail. Boom! Lu Ming sensed a monstrous strength moving towards him. His body shook violently as he used that strength to throw himself at the Wuxia clan's young geniuses. At the moment of collision, he had already adjusted the direction of the collision. Therefore, when the two forces collided, he was sent flying in the direction of the Wuxias. Lu Ming's arm was broken. The crocodile was extremely strong. Even with Qiuqiu's help, he couldn't compete with it. If the Wuxia clan's young geniuses didn't have the help of the evil-suppressing talisman, they wouldn't have been able to compete with the crocodile. However, Lu Ming's recovery ability was extremely strong. When he flew out, there was a steady flow of energy in his cells. Lu Ming's arm recovered within a few breaths. "Kill him!" shouted the Wuxia clan's young geniuses when they saw Lu Ming coming towards them. Then, they threw themselves at Lu Ming. They didn't use the evil-suppressing talisman to attack Lu Ming. The evil-suppressing talisman was very effective against evil things, but it didn't have much effect on ordinary people. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Lu Ming brandished his silver spear continuously, smashing the attacks that were directed at him. The evil-suppressing talisman isn't bad. Maybe I can use it. Lu Ming's eyes twinkled as he threw himself at a Wuxia clan's young genius of the third godly emperor layer. That Wuxia clan's young genius had the evil-suppressing talisman. "Die!" shouted the young genius of the third godly emperor layer furiously. He used his full strength to attack Lu Ming. There were at least 30 Wuxia clan's young geniuses next to him. They all attacked at the same time. However, Qiuqiu had broken through to the fourth godly emperor layer, so he was extremely strong. After turning into a silver spear, his attacks were even more terrifying. Lu Ming held his silver spear and started spinning like a drill. He penetrated the crowd of Wuxia clan's young geniuses and broke through their attacks. Lu Ming dashed forward like a bolt of silver lightning, thrusting his spear at the third-level godly emperor realm Wuxia. The Wuxia clan's young genius expression changed drastically. He hadn't thought Lu Ming would be so strong. He shouted furiously and retreated. However, Lu Ming kept moving forwards and his silver spear was extremely fast. The Wuxia clan's young genius couldn't dodge it. In the end, he shouted furiously and used his full strength. But he couldn't block Qiuqiu's silver spear. Even cultivators of the sixth godly emperor layer wouldn't be able to block that attack, let alone him. He didn't have a weapon. Not everyone's clans. Was Lin Qiuqiu's young celestial, and Qiuqiu's Qiu. Of course, these powerful forces did not lack such powerful weapons, but not everyone could control them and unleash their full power. In fact, there were harsh conditions to control such a killing machine. After all, the cultivation bases of these geniuses were still too low. It was impossible for them to control these weapons with their cultivation bases alone. Therefore, they had to be compatible with each other. Only those who were compatible with these weapons would be able to refine them and control them. For example, Lu Ming's Gale Bead was only able to empty it because Lu Ming had cultivated the Great Divine Wind technique. If it were anyone else, they would not have been able to draw out the gale inside. For example, Lu Ming had to rely on his forbidden power to barely refine a treasure like the mysterious ice rod. Limitless cultivation relied on the power of the blood azura. Back then, Ling Yue wanted to refine it, but she was unable to do so. Another example was Ling Yue's blood-stained elven king bow. That was the war bow of the elven ancestor. Ling Yue relied on her powerful elven bloodline and her powerful innate talent. Xiao Wuji's half of the Shura Emperor sword and Di Jinni's rusty iron sword all followed the same logic. They all required very strict conditions to be able to control them. With a low cultivation level, it was very, very difficult to control such a weapon. In fact, there were very few people in the universe who could control such a weapon with a low cultivation level. They were all monstrous geniuses. Not all geniuses from powerful groups had such a weapon. If they were not compatible, even if they were given such a weapon, they would not be able to use it. They might even die. Obviously, even though the geniuses of the Wuxia clan were geniuses, they were far from being as strong as Ling Yue and Xiao Wuji. The geniuses of the third godly emperor layer of the Wuxia clan were pierced through the forehead. Their soul was destroyed and they died. After that person died, the evil suppressing talisman became an object without an owner. It quickly shrank and turned into 18 ordinary talismans. They floated in the air and Lu Ming put them away. When the remaining geniuses of the Yaksha clan saw how strong Lu Ming was, they were terrified. They did not dare fight against Lu Ming. They all retreated frantically. Lu Ming dashed past without any hindrance. He dashed out of the huge tomb. The geniuses of the Yaksha clan could only watch as Lu Ming ran away. Damn it! Who is that guy? Who the hell is he? After Lu Ming left, the geniuses of the Yaksha clan shouted, I don't know him. He's only a quasi-emperor, but he's so strong. He's not on the quasi-emperor's list. I've never seen him in the illusionary godly jade. The other geniuses of the Yaksha clan shook their heads. Of course, they did not recognize Lu Ming. In fact, when he attacked, Lu Ming had already changed his appearance. These people had never seen Lu Ming before, so they did not recognize Lu Ming's life origin chi. Therefore, as long as he changed his appearance, they would not be able to recognize Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not want to make too many enemies. After rushing out of the tomb, Lu Ming did not stop. His body flashed and soon, he was far away from the place. Not long after, Lu Ming came to a deserted place and stopped. Then, he took out a storage ring. The storage ring was filled with vile yin qi. Lu Ming wanted to check it. With a thought, the vile yin qi flew out and was surrounded by Lu Ming's forbidden energy. No, it doesn't have any spirituality. Lu Ming took a closer look and his face darkened. This wisp of vile yin qi was lifeless and did not have any spirituality. The heavenly palace required vile yin qi with spirituality. This wisp of vile yin qi did not meet the requirements. Only when vile yin qi is extremely dense can it develop spirituality. This wisp of vile yin qi does not have any spirituality. Guimo also spoke. Lu Ming was speechless. Without spirituality, the sinister aura was just an ordinary material. It was of no use to Lu Ming at all. After wasting so much effort, he only got a wisp of vile yin qi without spirituality. It was a waste of effort. It seems like it's not easy to get a wisp of vile yin qi with spirituality. Lu Ming sighed. The heavenly palace's requirements are naturally not that easy to fulfill. However, the myriad tombs is a place where vile yin qi gathers. There will definitely be vile yin qi with spirituality. Don't worry, Guimo said. Chapter 3951. Lu Ming muttered a few words and put away the wisp of yin qi that had no spirituality. He then took out 18 pieces of evil-suppressing talismans. The 18 evil suppression talismans were refined from a kind of golden divine jade. They were engraved with fine runes and were incomparably mysterious. This set of evil suppression talismans was extremely valuable on the market. The main reason was that the materials were hard to find and the refining process was very difficult. Otherwise, there wouldn't be more than 100 Yaksha geniuses who only had 3 sets of evil suppression talismans. Lu Ming used forbidden energy to erase the imprints left by the Yaksha geniuses on the evil suppression talismans. Then he injected forbidden energy into them and started refining them. It was very easy to refine them with forbidden energy. In less than an hour, Lu Ming had completely refined them. With a thought, the 18 evil suppression talismans flew into the sky and shone with a dazzling golden light. Lu Ming tested them for a while before putting them away to avoid attracting others. Then, Lu Ming continued flying into the depths of the land of myriad tombs. Along the way, Lu Ming would encounter Yaksha geniuses from time to time. When these Yaksha geniuses saw that Lu Ming was a human, they would all attack him. Some were killed by Lu Ming, while others fled. At the same time, Lu Ming saw some shocking tombs. There were terrifying roars coming from some tombs. Some of the geniuses of the Yaksha race wanted to attack them but were killed by the dead spirits in the tombs. Even the evil-suppressing talisman could not stop them. Those dead spirits were too terrifying. Lu Ming didn't dare to attack them at all and took a detour. A few days later, Lu Ming was close to the core of the land of myriad tombs. At this moment, he stopped, because he saw a shocking scene. In front of him, 9 tombs were connected in a circle. Each tomb was incomparably huge and majestic. They were like 9 huge mountains that surrounded each other. The 9 tombs were connected and gathered endless yin qi. There, black fog filled the sky and covered the sun. What a terrifying place. This place can definitely nurture baleful yin qi with spirituality. Lu Ming sighed and wondered if he should go in and explore. However, in this kind of place, it was very likely that there would be extremely terrifying dead spirits, so he had to be extremely cautious. There's someone. All of a sudden, Lu Ming sensed a figure flashing in front of him. It was a genius from the Wuxia tribe. It seems that the Wuxias have their eyes on this place. That's good. Let's use the same trick and see if we can fish in troubled waters. Lu Ming smiled, retracted his aura, and quietly moved forward. The yin energy here was so dense that it was almost tangible. It was like a black fog, making it very easy to hide. Lu Ming was very close to the 9 burial mounds when Lu Ming stopped. This was because Lu Ming sensed that there was a large number of Wuxia elites ahead. Through the black yin qi, Lu Ming sensed that there were at least 1,000 Wuxias in front of him. The Wuxias seemed to be chatting about something. Lu Ming activated his heavenly ear ability and heard voices in Lu Ming's ears. I have checked it out. There are a total of 9 wisps of yin qi gathered in the middle of the 9 burial mounds. However, there are 6 dead spirits guarding them. One of them said, 6 dead spirits? How powerful are the dead spirits? Someone asked in a serious tone. They are very powerful. It's very strong, but it's not too strong either. Together we have 36 sets of evil suppressing talisman, and dealing with 6 undead spirits at the same time might be a bit difficult. However, we can break through them one by one, first lure one out, then gather all our strength to destroy one undead spirit, then attract the second one by one, and finally destroy all the undead spirits, the first person to speak said again. That is a good idea. However, how do we lure the dead spirits? Who should we send? Another voice said. The Wuxias fell into a short silence. That's right, it was extremely dangerous to attract dead spirits. It was simply a 9 out of 10 chance of dying. Furthermore, the person who was going to lure the dead spirits could not bring the exorcism talismans with him. Otherwise, it would be useless to scare the dead spirits away. That would be even more dangerous. Who would do such a dangerous thing? That's easy. The Sun Moon tribe members that we have captured can be put to good use. The first person sneered. That's right. Those Sun Moon tribe people are courting death. How dare they fight with us for the yin qi? Now, we will use them to lure the dead spirits. Let's do it now. I will make those Sun Moon tribe people listen to me. Cold voices rang out one after another. Then the Wuxias started to move. Sun Moon tribe? Lu Ming pondered from afar. The burial mounds had been sealed off by the Wuxias and Sun Moon tribe. The Wuxias entered from one side while the Sun Moon tribe entered from the other side. In the burial mounds, the 2 tribes would definitely meet and kill each other. Obviously, the Wuxias had caught some Sun Moon tribe people and were going to use them to lure the dead spirits. Lu Ming did not care about what method they were going to use. He just had to wait patiently. Lu Ming did not have to wait for long. In front of him, there was an earth-shattering roar from the 9 burial mounds. The roar was like thunder, piercing through the clouds. The terrifying sound wave tore the space apart. A wave of yin qi as dense as the sea gushed out from within. Quick, take out the exorcism talismans. Block it. A series of roars could be heard as golden rays were emitted, resulting in a brilliant sight. From a distance, Lu Ming could see that the 36 balls of golden light were extremely dazzling. They had melted the rich sinister aura. When the yin qi met the golden light, it was like ice meeting fire. As the yin qi melted, Lu Ming's field of vision opened up. He could see that there were more than 1,000 Wuxia tribe geniuses gathered together to control the 36 exorcism talismans to fight against an undead spirit. The undead spirit was like a giant ape. It was more than 100 meters tall and it roared at the sky. Its aura was majestic as it fought against the Wuxia tribe geniuses. Loud explosions rang out from the undead spirit. It was much more powerful than the crocodile undead spirit. Even though it was facing the 36 exorcism talismans and more than 1,000 Yiksha tribe geniuses, it was still able to hold its own. The undead spirit charged around and attacked the exorcism talismans. Every time it attacked the exorcism talismans would shake violently. However, every time the exorcism talismans hit the undead spirit, the golden light from the exorcism talismans would cause the undead spirit to sizzle and corrode its flesh and bones. Every time the exorcism talismans corroded the undead spirit, it would weaken a little. 36 sets of evil-suppressing talismans completely surrounded the giant ape undead spirit, constantly pressuring it, preventing it from rushing out. Just like that, the giant ape undead spirit grew weaker and weaker as time passed. Chapter 3952. After about half an hour, the giant ape undead spirit was extremely weak. The 36 exorcism runes pressed down on the giant ape undead spirit. The giant ape undead spirit let out an indignant roar and turned into ashes in the golden light. A powerful undead spirit had been killed by the combined forces of the Yiksha tribe elites. The area was quiet once again. Thick yin qi surged in from all directions and the area was once again shrouded in thick yin qi. However, not long after, another terrifying roar broke the silence. Following this, rays of brilliant golden light were emitted as the 36 sets of evil-suppressing talismans were unleashed, encapsulating the first dead spirit, before the two sides engaged in an intense battle. After a while, the second undead spirit was also destroyed. Just like that, the same trick was repeated. One by one, the undead spirits were lured out and then killed. Soon, 4 undead spirits had died at the hands of the Yiksha tribe's sky prides. The Yiksha tribe's sky prides were excited. There were 6 undead spirits in total and they had already killed 4. There were 2 more to go. As long as they killed the last 2, they would be able to obtain 6 strands of yin qi. Although there were more than 1,000 of them, 6 strands of yin qi were not enough to go around. There would definitely be a fight. However, many a little makes a mickle. Moreover, there should be more yin qi in the grave of 1,000 graves. They would search for more yin qi in other places after they had collected all the yin qi here. There were so many elites in the Yiksha tribe. Naturally, not all of them were qualified to take part in the Heavenly Soldier test. However, some of them were qualified to take part. Who could guarantee that they would not be part of that group? More than 1,000 elites of the Yiksha tribe hid behind a large tomb and waited quietly. Some of the Sun Moon tribe members had already entered to lure the undead spirits. Although dozens of Sun Moon tribe geniuses had been killed in the previous 4 attempts to attract the dead spirits, the remaining Sun Moon tribe geniuses did not dare to disobey. They had been set up with an evil array and if they dared to disobey, they would suffer a fate worse than death. Indeed, not long after, a terrifying roar could be heard from afar. It was getting closer and closer. However, the faces of the elites of the Yiksha tribe changed. This was because there was not 1 roar, but 2. It came from 2 different undead spirits. The remaining 2 undead spirits had been lured over. Damn it, why did I attract 2 dead souls at the same time? These trash from the Sun Moon tribe are courting death. Many Yiksha sky prides roared. However, when the dead spirits approached, they had no choice but to face them head-on. They flew out from behind the great tomb and stood in the air. With the evil suppressing sigil as the core, they set up a formation. Roar! 2 different roars came from the depths of the 9 graves, shaking the void. Then, the Yiksha tribesmen saw more than 10 Sun Moon tribe geniuses flying out in a panic. With a terrifying roar, a huge claw stretched out from the thick yin qi and killed a genius of the Sun Moon tribe. Damn trash, I told you to lure 1 out. Why did you lure 2 out? You guys, split up and lure one of them back in. Hurry! The Yikshas roared. However, the geniuses of the Sun Moon tribe could not be bothered with them. Their eyes flashed viciously as they led the 2 terrifying dead spirits towards the geniuses of the Hag tribe. Damn it, you're all courting death. Attack! The Yiksha tribesmen roared. However, they could not care less about the geniuses of the Sun Moon tribe. All the geniuses of the Yaksha tribe worked together and infused their divine force into the 36 evil-suppressing sigil. The 36 evil-suppressing sigil shone brightly and suppressed the 2 dead spirits. In an instant, the 2 dead spirits were surrounded by the 36 evil-suppressing sigil. The 2 dead spirits roared in anger as they attacked the evil-suppressing sigil with thick yin qi. Boom boom boom. The evil-suppressing talisman trembled unceasingly. The 2 dead spirits were attacking at the same time. Some of the Yaksha geniuses who were only at the quasi-emperor level trembled violently and spat out blood. They could easily deal with 1 dead spirit, but it was difficult to deal with 2 of them at the same time. Block it. The dead spirits will be weakened by the evil-suppressing sigil. Victory is ours. A Yaksha tribesman shouted. More than 1,000 Yaksha tribesmen gritted their teeth and infused their divine force into the 36 evil-suppressing sigil to suppress the 2 dead spirits, slowly weakening their strength. The 2 dead spirits were also attacking wildly. After a while, some of the Yaksha tribesmen who were not strong enough were killed. However, the Yaksha tribesmen did not dare to relax. They gritted their teeth and held on. Once they relaxed, the 2 dead spirits would rush out and they would be in greater danger. There would be more casualties. At that moment, they hated the remaining Sun-Moon tribe geniuses. They swore to themselves that after they killed the 2 dead spirits, they would make the remaining Sun-Moon tribe geniuses suffer a fate worse than death. However, the remaining Sun-Moon tribe geniuses did not run away. Instead, they stood not far away and looked coldly at the Yaksha tribesmen. Suddenly, swoosh, 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 in another direction, a few figures flew over. There were at least a few hundred of them. They are here. The Sun-Moon tribe geniuses smirked coldly. Oh no, it's the Sun-Moon tribe. The Yaksha tribesmen also noticed the few hundred figures. They were the geniuses of the Sun-Moon tribe. The few hundred Sun-Moon tribe geniuses glanced coldly at the Yaksha tribesmen and continued to fly towards the middle of the 9 graves. Damn it, they are going to snatch the haze chi. Damn it. The Yaksha tribesmen roared. However, they were held back by the 2 powerful dead spirits and could not be distracted. How dare you inform the other Sun-Moon tribesmen? You are digging your own graves. The Yaksha tribesmen glared at the Sun-Moon tribe geniuses and roared. So what if we die? But we will not die in vain. We will make the Yaksha tribesmen pay the price. The Sun-Moon tribe geniuses sneered, their eyes filled with madness. As they spoke, the few hundred Sun-Moon tribe geniuses were about to fly into the depths of the 9 graves. No, we cannot let them get the haze chi. We must kill the 2 dead spirits quickly. How can we kill the 2 dead spirits quickly? Explode the evil-suppressing sigil. This is the only way. Quick! The Yaksha tribesmen quickly made up their minds. Although the evil-suppressing sigil was precious, they had to give it up. Otherwise, the Sun-Moon tribe would get the haze chi. Furthermore, the Sun-Moon tribe would definitely attack them when they got the haze chi. They could not afford to be held back by the 2 dead spirits. Boom! One of the Yaksha tribesmen was very decisive and exploded the evil-suppressing sigil. When the evil-suppressing sigil exploded, it turned into a golden sun and pressed down on the 2 dead spirits. The entire area was filled with golden light. Chapter 3953. A set of exorcism runes exploded and dazzling golden light engulfed the 2 dead spirits like a golden ocean. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Sounds of corrosion could be heard and thick green smoke rose from the area. The 2 dead spirits let out terrifying roars and attacked with all their might. In the dazzling golden light, they could see 2 dead spirits with tattered bodies rushing out from inside. Although the self-destruction of a set of evil-suppressing talismans was incomparably terrifying, it did not completely obliterate the 2 dead spirits. However, the 2 dead spirits had also suffered heavy injuries. A large portion of their rotten flesh and bones had melted. Explode again. Another roar could be heard. Boom. Another set of exorcism runes exploded and engulfed the 2 dead spirits. After 2 sets of exorcism runes exploded, the 2 dead spirits were severely injured. However, they were not completely destroyed. Then, The third set of exorcism runes exploded. This time, the 2 dead spirits were completely finished off. In the Golden Sea, they turned into ashes and dissipated. They had sacrificed 3 sets of exorcism runes to destroy the 2 dead spirits. However, the Wuxia tribesmen did not care about the pain. After killing the 2 dead spirits, they rushed to the center of the 9 graves. Kill the Sun Moon tribesmen. Kill. The Wuxia tribesmen roared and thousands of Wuxia tribe geniuses rushed to the center of the 9 graves. At that moment, Lu Ming moved. Now that the dead spirits had been killed, the Sun Moon tribe and the Wuxia tribe would fight for the Haze Chi. This was a good opportunity for him to take advantage of the chaos. When both sides took the Haze Chi and kept it, it would be difficult for him to get another Haze Chi. Lu Ming turned into a gust of wind and rushed to the center of the 9 graves at a shocking speed. The 9 graves were connected and there was a circle in the middle. The Haze Chi was thick and the temperature was high. When Lu Ming arrived, he saw that the Sun Moon tribe and the Wuxia tribe were already engaged in a fierce battle. Although the Sun Moon tribe only had a few hundred people, which was less than the Wuxia tribe, the Sun Moon tribe members were all elites and were very strong. In an instant, they were locked in a fierce battle with the Wuxia tribe geniuses. The 2 sides fought fiercely and many people died. Lu Ming's gaze swept around rapidly and he immediately found his target. Among the places with strong sinister aura, there were 6 places that caught Lu Ming's attention. The Haze Chi in these 6 places was extremely thick and it was almost tangible. There were 6 Haze Chi in these 6 places and it was just as the Wuxia tribesmen had said. The battle around these 6 places were also the most intense. Lu Ming carefully leaped toward the nearest place. When Lu Ming approached them, the Wuxia tribe and Sun Moon tribe members noticed him. The people on both sides were slightly taken aback, somewhat dumbfounded. They were from the Haze of the tribe and of the Haze Moon tribe, the Haze of the tribesmen of the tribe, Haze. Lu Ming was stunned for a moment before he seized the opportunity and dashed toward the sinister aura. You! How dare you target the Haze Chi? I will send you to hell. The Wuxia tribesmen of the 2 sides were enraged and they attacked Lu Ming. Rays of divine light almost engulfed Lu Ming. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Lu Ming cast the great divine wind skill and flashed continuously, avoiding a portion of the attacks. The remaining attacks were deflected by the silver spear that Lu Ming transformed from Qiuqiu. Thereafter, Lu Ming dashed through and dashed into the thick sinister aura. Lu Ming found a Haze Chi in the thick Haze Chi. Lu Ming grabbed the Haze Chi in his hand. However, Lu Ming's face darkened in the next instant. It had no spirituality. This wisp of sinister aura was exactly the same as the wisp of sinister aura that Lu Ming had obtained previously. It was also a sinister aura without spirituality. What bad luck! Lu Ming muttered and his face darkened. Kill. Brat, hand over the Haze Chi. At that moment, the Wuxia tribesmen and the Sun Moon tribesmen had charged over. Both sides aimed their attacks at Lu Ming. Anyway, Lu Ming was a human and not a member of the Wuxia tribesmen. They would kill him first. You want the Haze Chi? Here. As Lu Ming dodged the attacks, he threw the Haze Chi in his hand out. When the Haze Chi flew out, the Wuxia tribesmen's eyes lit up. The Haze Chi is mine. It's mine. Go to hell. The elites of the 2 clans instantly abandoned Lu Ming and engaged in an intense fight over the sinister aura. Lu Ming took the opportunity to escape and tried to dash to the other side. However, not everyone was fooled by Lu Ming. A golden trident pierced toward Lu Ming. There was a gust of wind and a terrifying force blasted the space. It was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming glanced around and saw a genius from the Wuxia tribesmen charging towards him. He was a terrifying genius who had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer. Clang. Lu Ming waved his silver spear and blocked the trident's attack. With the help of the trident's attack, he retreated rapidly. The Wuxia tribesman was surprised. He hadn't thought that Lu Ming would be able to block his attack. Then he continued to attack Lu Ming. When he saw Lu Ming throw out the sinister aura, he did not snatch it. This was because he had already guessed that the sinister aura thrown out by Lu Ming was most likely not up to standard and did not have spirituality. Don't think that I'm afraid of you. Lu Ming hollered coldly. His silver spear pierced out. With a loud bang, it collided with the Yaksha clan's prodigy. Even though the Yaksha tribesman was strong and had the strength of the fourth godly emperor layer, which was the same level as Qiu Qiu, he wasn't as strong as Qiu Qiu. He couldn't kill someone who was 2 levels higher than him. After that, Lu Ming didn't waste any time. His silhouette flickered and he moved towards the next haze chi. Over there, the geniuses of the Sun Moon tribe and the Yaksha tribesmen were fighting fiercely. Before Lu Ming could rush over, there was a roar coming from inside. Haze chi that has no spirit. If you want it, I'll give it to you. Loud roars accompanied the sounds of battle. Haze chi that has no spirit? Lu Ming's face darkened. He turned around and moved towards the third haze chi. This time, the battle was extremely fierce. The ground was covered with corpses of the geniuses of the 2 clans. Bastards of the Sun Moon tribe, die. The geniuses of the Yaksha tribesmen were extremely strong and they forced the Sun Moon tribesmen to retreat. Suddenly, a cold holy light flashed past. Then, one of the geniuses of the Yaksha tribesmen froze on the spot. Then, with a loud bang, he was smashed into pieces. Shush shush, the Sun Moon divine light flashed continuously and a few geniuses of the Yaksha tribesmen were killed. Not far away, a young man flew towards them. The young man was in a black robe and his face was cold. He looked a little pale and he had a feminine aura. He was surrounded by the Sun Moon Chi and his aura was extremely oppressive.